Chapter 1926. Su Yen had broken through. It was unprecedentedly smooth. It was too smooth. He had comprehended the Tao for 10 years, obtained various inheritances, and received the nurturing of various treasures in the human world. All these years, he had focused on the profound meaning of the great Tao and had never forced himself to reach a higher realm. Now everything was going smoothly. He tore through the checkpoint and opened the door to a higher realm. Pure divine power filled the sky and swept over, drowning Su Yan's body. Suddenly, Su Yan's vitality soared, becoming exceptionally powerful and vigorous. One had to know that the peak of the first mountain was planted with countless divine precious herbs. The divine and holy energy substances sprinkled down, accompanied by various great medicinal powers, were of vital help to cultivators, especially when Su Yen used the stealing heaven art to seize good fortune. After breaking through, his aura went berserk. He was about to step into the 8th level perfect realm in a spurt of energy. Su Yen grinned. His harvest was too shocking. His flesh and blood were blazing and full. After being nourished by various medicinal herbs, all the potential treasures of this realm were strengthened. Moreover, a large amount of medicinal effects had settled in Su Yan's limbs and bones. Tun, this is a rare opportunity. Swallow. Su Yen shouted excitedly. He swallowed without restraint. Under his activation of the stealing heaven art, it was as if countless large hands had grown out of his back. They explored the universe and seized the essence of the great herbs. A large number of herbs around Su Yen withered visibly. They had been deprived of their life essence. Of course, this little loss was nothing to the endless divine precious herbs on the peak of the first mountain. Su Yan's appetite was also very big. A divine and holy energy vortex formed on the top of his head, swallowing heaven and earth. Roar! Su Yen roared. His body was in danger of exploding. There were too many energy substances, and a huge amount of them had settled in his flesh. It was like a huge world of treasures, emitting an immeasurable amount of holy light. Its might was unpredictable. I can't take it anymore. My bones are about to explode. I can't be too greedy. Su Yen took a deep breath, and the scripture of the universe gradually circulated, suppressing the explosive energy and matter in his body, allowing everything to settle in his flesh. This treasure was quite important, and once it was burned in the future, it would be able to help Su Yen bombard the sovereign domain. Emperor Su Yen wouldn't consider it now. After the immortal demon war, he would choose to step into the emperor's domain. Buzz. Su Yan's frontal bone was blazing, and his golden primordial spirit was blazing as it emitted a rain of divine energy. There was no doubt that his primordial spirit had undergone a huge transformation as well. His soul aura had strengthened, and he could vaguely see the great Tao of heaven and earth interweaving and illuminating the starry sky. His primordial spirit was about to break through to become a ruler. He did not expect that he would gain so much from reaching the peak. Su Yen could even vaguely sense a repulsive force. Without a doubt, it was impossible for him to continue cultivating here. Once the time was up, he would be expelled. Fortunately, I have mastered the stealing heaven technique. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to obtain so much. Su Yen murmured. He stood up and stared into the distance. Su Yen was filled with anticipation. What would he obtain next? What was the ultimate trial? It would definitely be filled with difficulties. He was prepared to explore it because he felt that he would obtain great fortunes. Su Yen strode forward, his black hair fluttering behind him. His essence, energy, and spirit were powerful. At this moment, Su Yen was standing at his peak state and could face any great enemy. Only when Su Yan's figure was about to disappear did the tenrai of beach break through the sea of purgatory. A loud roar exploded, and it was as if a sky full of thunderbolts had struck down at the same time. It shook heaven and earth, raising a tide of lightning that surged violently, indicating the birth of a peak-level hero. Su Yen, has he come out? The Tenrai of Beech's divine eyes were like lightning. He did not see Su Yan's figure. Then, his eyes fell on the mountain peak. Was he number one? At the foot of the number one mountain, all the spectators were silent. Su Yan had already been at the peak for half a day, but the Tenrai of Beech had just broken through the sea of purgatory. Actually, the Tenrai of Beech's speed was already fast enough. Unfortunately, he encountered Su Yan. It was destined to be a tragedy. I didn't expect that the title of number one mountain would be taken by Su Yan. What a good sage king equal of heaven. No wonder he was listed in the challenge letter issued by the Dark World. I'm really looking forward to his performance in the Immortal Devil battlefield. The old experts of various races gathered together to discuss. A terrifying era was about to arrive. There were only a few years left. Su Yan already had the qualifications to participate. The Tenrai of Beech and the battle god of the Manhuang tribe also had the qualifications. There were also people who raised their doubts. Su Yan's strength is obvious to all. But does he really have a powerful inheritance and absolute art? You have to know that there was a certain gap between the Heaven's Burying Cave and the Immortal's Cave at its peak. This sentence made many old experts silent. The competition in the Immortal Devil Great War was not just about individual strength. It also depended on the level of great magical powers cultivated. It was a competition of supreme battle strength. Su Yan once rejected the invitation of the Immortal's Cave. Even if he went there now, it's impossible for him to grasp the core inheritance of the Immortal's Cave in a few years. Someone hit the nail on the head and said in a low voice, "The Great Immortal Demon War is of great importance. Su Yan's existence is too unpredictable. Although he is extremely brilliant, does he really have an invincible technique that can make him the strongest in the world? Who said that the Heaven's Burying Cave doesn't have an absolute art?" Big Goldie was furious. He shouted with a cold face, "Go back and ask the experts of your race." When the Immortal Devil Great War started, the Heaven's Burying Cave of the human world was also one of the main forces. There's such a thing? Is it unheard of? These words caused quite a stir. Everyone was shocked. They didn't know about this matter. After all, the Heaven's Burying Cave had existed for too long. How many forces in the world knew about the Heaven's Burying Cave's glorious era? Mu Xin pulled Big Goldie. There were many old monsters here. Big Goldie was made of the Golden Dipper's mother material. Once some old monsters saw through him, it would be extraordinarily troublesome. Big Goldie opened his mouth out of anger. He quickly calmed down and muttered in his heart, "I seem to have heard someone say that there are some problems in the world's number one mountain. There seems to be an inheritance hidden? I wonder if Su Yan can obtain it?" Big Goldie wasn't the only one who knew. The Tenrai of Beech also knew. With his identity, he knew more comprehensively. However, according to the arguments of various races, the inheritance of the first mountain was illusory and not real at all. The Tenrai of Beech walked to the summit. In the process, he also endured a great test. His innate body was about to collapse. He endured the crushing pressure and walked to the summit with his body covered in blood. In fact, even if he couldn't bear the test and failed, he was still qualified to go to the summit to absorb the sacred precious medicine's baptism. Peak Seed. The Tenrai of Beech revealed a smile. The mysterious and ancient words still echoed in his ears. He felt that this was the first mountain's spiritual will acknowledging him. Peak seeds were few and far between in the past. According to his understanding, this should be the strongest recognition for the challenger. Moreover, he clearly understood that the Heavenly King of the Starry Sky Imperial race, the Heavenly King, and the others had all received the title of Peak Seed of the First Mountain. There was no doubt that the Tenrai of Beech had already entered the ranks of the strongest in the immortal world. Of course, the most important thing was that the Tenrai of Beech had just finished his Tao demonstration. He still hadn't stood at the peak of the Daesong domain. Was this understandable? His own potential had already surpassed the Heavenly King and the others. Could he stand shoulder to shoulder with the princesses? The Immortals' Cave had several young monsters with terrifying potential. They were known as the invincible overlords of the present era. The Tenrai of Beach also had great confidence that he could surpass them in the future. After all, he was still young. Although the princesses and the others had been sealed by the Immortals' Cave and maintained their golden years for a long time, they definitely weren't as young as him. Their potential was unparalleled and extraordinary. After all, he belonged to this era of the universe. Therefore, the Tenrai of Beach now felt that he was already the #1 person in this era of the universe. As expected, the Tenrai of Beach's confidence grew stronger. He searched the entire mountain peak but didn't find any trace of Su Yan. It was time to announce to the world that the Tenrai of Beach had dominated this era of the universe. The battle god of the Manhuang tribe had also arrived. He ignored the Tenrai of Beach and found an area to sit cross-legged and absorb the creation substance. Although there was a gap between him and the Tenrai of Beach, the battle god of the Manhuang tribe wasn't discouraged. He looked for his own shortcomings and worked hard to become stronger. "I'm second," he muttered in his heart. "Not really. That person who is stronger and more extraordinary might have already arrived before me. Or maybe he has already gone to the training ground." The battle god of the Manhuang tribe clearly knew that there was a mysterious training ground here. However, a long time had passed and no one dared to go there anymore. There was once an unparalleled battle god of the tribe who ascended the first mountain and went to the training ground. He really died there. Although he came out alive, he didn't obtain anything. However, according to the battle god of the Manhuang tribe's understanding, that person became stronger and more extraordinary after leaving the mountain. He completed a huge transformation and walked on the path of the ancestors of the Manhuang tribe's glorious era. At this moment, Su Yan had already left the sacred treasure-growing area. Gradually, the sky ahead turned dark. Darkness was about to cover the land. Where did he come to? The world was quiet. Su Yan's footsteps echoed. He didn't encounter any danger along the way. Su Yan felt a chill. Endless cold air seeped into his flesh and blood. It had already drilled into his bones, causing Su Yan to shiver. Danger, extreme danger. He didn't know why. Su Yan could clearly see the dark world ahead. Danger lurked everywhere. It was as if he was about to fall into the mouth of a giant beast and be chewed until there was nothing left. How terrifying was the ultimate training ground. Su Yan's expression was solemn. It was as if he was facing the strongest enemy in the world. Moreover, the road ahead was gradually narrowing. The pitch-black road was hazy with strange colors. He couldn't see clearly. Vaguely, Su Yan's ears echoed with the low roars of countless heroic spirits, the cries of gods and devils, and the despairing shouts of peerless geniuses. What was this? It was as if he had fallen into the era of despair of all the supreme beings, his life as cheap as grass. There were many corpses on the road of the strong. Then how many generations of Ingjia had been buried on the road ahead? Did the strongest seed die in battle? A stone tablet. A road. This black road seems to be the continuation of the world's #1 mountain. Only by climbing the black road can one be considered to have reached the peak? Su Yan looked at the mysterious road. It really seemed like the road of the Supreme Being's burial ground. It gave people a sense of terror. It covered the sky and covered the earth, engulfing one's soul. It was a stone tablet that looked quite ancient. The words left behind were already blurred. Su Yan opened his heaven's eye and looked into the distance. He heard a sigh. No one can reach the peak. No one can break through the test. Su Yan was stunned. At the same time, Su Yan's battle blood was boiling. He was born unafraid of tests. No matter how difficult or perverse the test was, it was targeted at the Saint Realm. He could always break through it. Warn the future generations to withdraw. Don't accept the test. Otherwise you will die. Even if you reach the peak, it will be for naught. It was like the sigh of an invincible being of the same generation. He didn't describe his experience and left behind a stone tablet to warn the future generations. It was as if he reached the peak, but there was nothing at the bottom. It couldn't be considered to have reached the peak. I, Su Yan, naturally do not believe in heresy. Su Yan's aura completely changed. He directly waved his fist and opened up the path to the peak, charging into the land of death and destruction. Chapter 1927. As for how difficult the ultimate smelting trial was, no one could answer him right now. In the past, there had been a person who had failed and left behind a stone tablet as a warning to the juniors that they must not attempt this trial. Otherwise, they would die 10 times out of 10. There was almost no hope of passing through. And even if they could, it would be for naught and they wouldn't be able to obtain anything. But at this moment, what Su Yan wanted wasn't good fortune or lucky chances. Rather, he wanted to see just how strong the smelting trial of the Saint Realm was. He wanted to see just how difficult it was. If the first mountain wasn't playing a joke on him, then it meant that Su Yan's cultivation in the Saint Realm had yet to reach the pinnacle. Bang! Su Yan's fist potential blasted open the black road, causing a massive crack to appear. His figure soared through the air, rushing into a ruined land filled with a boundless aura of death. The entire sky was filled with the howling sound of wind. Wild winds howled between the heavens and earth. Ghosts wept and gods howled. This was no longer a small path to the peak. Instead, it had transformed into a vast purgatory world. What greeted his eyes was endless blood light sprinkling down, accompanied by deep roars. Are these the heroic spirits of those who died in battle? Su Yan loudly asked. His long black hair fell over his shoulders and his eyes were as sharp as knives. As he stared at the scene of the heavens weeping blood, he could faintly make out one figure after another that had once looked down upon the world, bobbing up and down in a sea of blood. Although they had been defeated, they were still extremely powerful individuals. Su Yan's feet stepped on the ground. Bones littered the ground, one after another, one after another. Those who had reached this place in the past had all been extremely terrifying creatures. He had seen dragon bones, phoenix wing bones, and even golden celestial bones with indestructible bodies. He had also seen the ground covered in dark blood. Some of the blood was very special, and even now, it still emitted a terrifying ominous light. This was a road of bones that was difficult to reach. It stretched across the purgatory, accompanied by the phenomenon of blood flowing from the heavens. It formed a land of death and ruin. If one's spiritual will wasn't strong enough, they would immediately be defeated. Thump, thump, thump. Su Yan stepped into the air, his hair and clothes fluttering in the wind. With every step he took, Su Yan's aura surged violently. With continuous surges and eruptions, he stood at the peak of the domain. The aura of a powerhouse surged. He was the strongest and most tyrannical. After 10 steps, he did not encounter any danger. However, the moment he took a step forward, heaven and earth trembled. It was indescribably terrifying. The bloody abnormalities that filled the sky began to sway, as if they were merging and recombining. A bloody spear could be vaguely seen, and it was coiled with heaven overflowing killing intent. It was filled with a boundless sharpness that could pierce through the body of a supreme existence. Boom! This strike hacked over, fast to the extreme. A large crack appeared in the heavens, the natural laws of order in the sky collapsing. Fragments of the great Tao covered the ground, and the heaven and earth seemed to be disintegrating. A great collapse was about to take place. Su Yan's body glowed on its own. He was about to activate his great divine ability to block this attack. Soon after, he noticed a very cruel problem. All the secret techniques, divine abilities, and scriptures had lost their effect. Even his soul core had fallen into eternal silence. Only his body was glowing and surging with the most primitive combat strength. Kill! Su Yan roared loudly. His hair danced about chaotically. He was iron-blooded and domineering. He raised his fist and smashed towards the bloody spear that hacked over. This was an exceptionally terrifying strike. Su Yan erupted with the most powerful strength to resist. A great explosion occurred in this region, and terrifying great Tao cracks filled the sky. Heaven and earth were continuously destroyed, and the black purgatory seemed like it was about to collapse. The scene was too horrible to look at. Su Yan's fist collapsed, and the dense white bones could be seen. The bloody spear pierced through his fist. The entire spear was about to pierce through Su Yan's entire arm. It pierced through. Roar! Su Yan roared. His flesh burned fiercely, and the most fundamental and ancient divine force that originated from his flesh shell surged violently. It pierced through his arm and blocked the bloody spear's attack. He made it through. This bloody spear was blasted flying, and it trembled in the shattered void. Moreover, it was swept out in reverse, scattering between heaven and earth. Again, Su Yan's divine bravery was unstoppable. His body was blazing brilliantly, and his pores gushed out with chi and blood. They revolved around his body, making him look like a peerless overlord. This was an outrageous and abnormal trial. He couldn't use any divine ability to pass through, and he couldn't borrow any external force. Even Su Yan's special constitution was suppressed. Only Su Yan's flesh, the most fundamental and ancient flesh, could be used. He took a step forward. Heaven and earth danced chaotically, and it was as if gods and devils were roaring. Heaven and earth were awakened, and the natural laws of order blossomed in the sky, forming an incomparable suppressive force. Even if an emperor-level expert barged into this place, they would easily suffer the fate of having their flesh destroyed. The boundless pressure covered his body. Blood flowed out from the corners of Su Yan's mouth, and all the bones in his body trembled. His body seemed to be deforming and bending, and it was about to break apart at any moment. The human treasures in his body rumbled, and he released a huge amount of sacred power. He unsealed 120% of his combat strength. He had once practiced in the burial realm, refined his own essence, and recovered a portion of the lost potential of the heavenly embryo. Therefore, even though Su Yan's physique was suppressed by the heaven burial avatar, he was still able to unleash an invincible combat strength. The vital energy and blood in his body roared and formed a sea of blood. With a roar, he resisted the suppression of the heaven and earth order. Boom! In an instant, the boundless pressure changed, and it evolved into a golden palm. It seemed like an immortal palm print, and it instantly blasted towards Su Yan's body. Su Yan's flesh and blood body was imprisoned, and it was difficult for him to wave his fist to block it. He could only let the palm strike his body. The golden palm print seemed small, but the moment it pressed down, it covered the sky and earth. Su Yan felt that every inch of his flesh and every bone in his body was being suppressed by the strongest of his generation. Pft! Su Yan coughed up large mouthfuls of blood. His body staggered, and his vision turned black. He almost rolled down the mountain. It was too painful. His entire body felt like it was being imprisoned in a divine furnace. His body was really disintegrating and was about to break apart. His life seemed to have suffered a fatal blow. In the endless pain, Su Yan's essence, chi, and spirit were burning. His head could be broken, and his blood could flow, but his will would not yield. With a punch, he had shattered the sea of purgatory. Su Yan's spiritual will was terrifying beyond compare. It was about to condense an invincible body to support Su Yan's trembling body. At the same time, his heart was in a perilous situation. How could this be? Could it be that this was the most powerful saint? How could this be? Could it be that his cultivation base really looked so pitiful? Why was the gap between them so huge? He was starting to doubt his life. Now, Su Yan's body was trembling. His entire body was in excruciating pain. However, He gradually realized that this palm strike was similar. He thought of the mysterious skeleton. Back then, it had waved its palm at him to open up his flaws and inadequacies. It had used the cruelest means to train him. At this moment, Su Yan suddenly had an illusion. This did not seem to be a cruel trial. Instead, it could be called a different kind of cultivation. As long as he could endure it, he would be able to see a brand new world and a brand new path. Again, Su Yan roared. His blood-stained body welcomed a huge explosion. The most primitive instinct in his body was awakened, and he resisted the bombarding golden hand. This time, it was even stronger and fiercer than the previous one. When the golden hand hit him, it relied solely on the terrifying confinement power that seemed to originate from the most fundamental power of the universe. Moreover, the boundless palm struck his flesh shell. Ah! Su Yan let out a blood-curdling scream. His flesh was lacerated and his bones cracked. His physical body was already very strong and extraordinary. One could imagine how shocking this attack was. Even Su Yan's physical body was about to be smashed apart. Su Yan coughed up blood. His blood-stained hair danced in the wind. Murderous light shot out from his eyes. He could not passively endure the suppression like this. Otherwise, he would really die here. Su Yan's body shone with divine light. His foundation was still there. He released rolling energy substances and evolved into millions of killing sword. They slashed at the world that was imprisoning him. The sky was filled with the rules of the great Tao. They swept over like a vast ocean. Layer after layer, they covered Su Yan and imprisoned him. He was like an imprisoned dragon resisting. His body struck again and again. He was bathed in blood. The deeper he went, the more terrifying the rules of the great Tao became. It was as if countless stars were falling on his body. Boom! The third attack came. It triggered a world-destroying frenzy. The rules of the great Tao resonated with it. They seemed to have turned into millions of palm strikes that attacked Su Yan uniformly. At this moment, Su Yan really felt that he could not withstand it. His body was not strong enough. To be precise, he lacked a certain substance. I have to break out of this situation. Otherwise, I will die here. Su Yan's black hair danced in the wind. He saw the clues of the trial on the mountain. It was equivalent to a world-destroying situation. It was like a strange way that spread the Tao to the world. In the face of the ultimate threat, Su Yan's potential erupted. He longed for the power to break through the world and shatter the prison. Su Yan suddenly had a kind of enlightenment. The Emperor's Sutra rushed through his heart. When he fought with Goldie in the past, he opened the great treasure of heaven and earth in an instant. He received the power of heaven and earth. He was equivalent to a supreme emperor. I can do it with magic power, but so can the body. The body is like the universe, Su Yan said in secret. His words rumbled. All the pores on his body were breathing and gushing out a gray airflow. Suddenly, Su Yan felt that his body was infinitely big. His body changed and turned into a great universe. He stole the power of heaven and earth and penetrated his body. He opened up all the treasures in the human body, evolved the heavens, and created all living things. At this moment, Su Yan was really too majestic. It was as if his body had stepped onto the Emperor's path and walked on a different path. It was as if he had seen through another civilization. It was as if he was on the path of the supreme body cultivator. He focused on cultivating the body and encompassed the world. All the power of treasures was explored from the body. The beginning of heaven and earth. This is the supreme profundity of the beginning sutra. Su Yan was shocked. This was the first sutra he had cultivated on the path of cultivation. It was known as the first celestial art of the celestial court. It was very likely that it was a sutra created by the ancient celestial emperors. I am the emperor. There is no need for heaven and earth to seal me. He recited silently. He recalled the words of the ancient celestial emperors. An emperor was an emperor. There was no need for heaven and earth to test or recognize him. All battle power came from the body. It was sublimated to the extreme and turned into the heavens of the universe to contend against the myriad worlds. The beginning of heaven and earth, the universe is vast and desolate. Su Yen roared towards the sky. It was as if a great explosion had occurred in his body. He suddenly opened up the treasury and seemed to have obtained endless power and profundities. It was as if he had turned into the seed of the beginning of all living things and was growing stronger. At this moment, the laws of the great Tao appeared in Su Yan's body one after another. It was as if the heavens were condensed in his body. He emitted a tyrannical aura that overflowed the heavens and looked down on everything. Boom! In an instant, heaven and earth collapsed. Su Yen was like a divine dragon that had broken out of its cage. He raised his fist and punched towards the incoming golden hand. It's you. You are really breaking through the mountain. The war god of the Man Huang tribe had arrived. His expression was one of shock as he looked at Su Yen. Chapter 1928. The Man Huang war god was tall and sturdy. His bronze-colored muscles gave off a sense of ferociousness. Every move he made was filled with explosive power. The Man Huang war god race had an ancient heritage. Their ancestors mainly cultivated the physical body and dominated the immortal world. They had once produced a titled emperor. Unfortunately, the path of their ancestors was too difficult. As a result, the Man Huang war god race gradually declined and was about to leave the stage of the emperor race. This was the new war god of the Man Huang war god race. His biggest goal in ascending the first mountain was to take the ultimate test. Back then, the Man Huang war god race had a challenger who was hailed as the most terrifying young war god of the Man Huang war god. He had once reached the peak. Although he didn't obtain any inheritance after descending the mountain, the war god of the Man Huang war god would rise strongly in the future. He walked on an extremely glorious path and even opened the Emperor City's sealed Emperor battlefield. However, he still failed. The new war god of the Man Huang war god walked the path of his ancestors. Even if he really failed, he could still gain valuable experience. This would have a great impact on his growth. Of course, the prerequisite was that the young war god of the Man Huang war god could return alive. The Tenrai of Beach also had the qualifications to take the ultimate test. However, he was clear that this was a dangerous place. He wouldn't obtain anything even if he went there. Moreover, his life would be threatened. It's time to go. The Tenrai of Beach was heroic. His aura was sacred and dignified. Lightning shot out from his eyes. Boom! On the peak of the first mountain, a blazing figure soared. It was as if he was in a sea of chaotic lightning. He emitted an unparalleled aura as if he was looking down on the world. He cultivated the belief that he was the number one person in this era of the universe. The Tenrai of Beach has descended the mountain. Many living beings were surprised. The Tenrai of Beach was ranked second. Didn't he feel disappointed? Why was he wearing a sacred smile? Some people felt that the Tenrai of Beach was magnanimous. This was the peerless demeanor of an expert. Some people also started to frown. Su Yen had killed Little Thunder. Although it was a fair battle, Su Yen had taken Little Thunder's head. Even if the Tenrai of Beach was magnanimous, how could he swallow his anger? What did he find out? Have you discovered the greatest treasure of the human body and grasped its most profound mysteries? Back then, the war god of my race's ancestor discovered that the path of glory of my ancestor was greatly related to the ultimate smelting trial. Savage war god's voice was filled with excitement and fanaticism. This path was specifically targeted at the body, unearthing the unparalleled mysteries of the human body. This was the path that body cultivators pursued. Gradually, he discovered that Su Yan's corporeal body was changing. It suddenly enlarged, as if it had turned into a great universe that occupied between heaven and earth, forcibly tearing apart the laws of order of heaven and earth. This was a kind of profound meaning which was quite shocking. The treasures in Su Yan's body rumbled and boiled. His aura soared as he grasped the power of the treasures in his body. He raised his fist and punched the giant golden hand. Boom! It was like a thunderclap that was tens of thousands of feet long as it rumbled down. The most powerful strike shattered Su Yan's golden fist into pieces. He had suddenly grasped such a powerful attack, but the result was still too miserable to look at. Moreover, a boundless power surged over, bombarding Su Yan's corporeal body until it trembled. The universe within his body rumbled, as if it was unstable and about to disintegrate. Su Yan growled. He suddenly felt anxious, restless, and irritated. The golden palm firmly slammed into Su Yan's body, triggering the supreme mysteries within his body. A huge problem was created, and there were flaws and imperfections. Moreover, it was extremely difficult to bear. He vaguely grasped the feeling of destruction. There were some problems with the path he was exploring. The order of the universe's great Tao was unstable and on the verge of collapse. Su Yan coughed up blood continuously. His hair was disheveled, as if he had suffered a great Tao injury. Act again. Su Yan growled. The beginning sutra's profundities appeared and scattered down like primordial characters. They were engraved on Su Yan's corporeal body, stabilizing it like the universe's mysteries. However, Su Yan's condition became worse and worse as he continued to deduce and perfect it. Some cracks appeared on his body, and fresh blood spilled out and dyed the ground red. His body felt like it was about to rot. It was exceptionally dangerous. Su Yan grasped the supreme mysteries and wanted to deduce them in one go. However, a problem occurred as soon as he explored this path. He couldn't stabilize the human treasures in his visualization. You can't touch the supreme mysteries. Otherwise, you'll refine yourself to death. The savage war god was anxious for Su Yan. Su Yan was naturally clear about the beginning sutra's strongest mysteries. What kind of person was this? It wasn't something Su Yan could touch. Even if he could comprehend it, it wasn't something he could cultivate. Otherwise, he would really refine himself to death. Just like the heaven-burying rune, it contained the supreme mysteries of the emperor-level powerhouses. Su Yan was relatively insignificant in front of such mysteries. Although he could touch it to obtain power, he definitely couldn't use it to refine himself. Of course, he wouldn't die. However, it was difficult for him to continue with the test in this state. Could it be that he had to withdraw? Realizing that Su Yan's problem was getting worse, the tall and sturdy man in the beast's skin became anxious. He paced around on the spot and said, simplifying the complex, the principles of heaven and earth. These words faintly emitted a terrifying demonic aura that engulfed Su Yan's body and mind. He could vaguely see the savage tribe's invincible war god appearing in the sky, emitting boundless power. It was as if 3,000 universes had been opened, and all the gods and demons in the heavens were moving along with it. However, no matter how strong the power of opening heaven and earth was, the invincible war god stood in the core area, looking down on the past and the future, stealing all matter for his use. He was like the ruler of all things in the heavens, his strength reaching the heavens. Su Yan was alert. His body glowed, and the roar of a dragon could be heard, shaking the heavens and earth. The savage tribe's war god was shocked. Su Yan's physical body was really ridiculous. His flesh rumbled, and the roar of a dragon could be heard. This was recorded in the savage tribe's ancient records that only those who had excavated the potential of their physical body to the extreme could possess this ability. At this moment, he was clear that Su Yan must have held back his strength when he ascended the mountain earlier. Act again. Su Yan's heart rumbled. He sorted out the mysteries of the heaven-earth stellar escape technique. He compared his physical body to the universe, and used the power of heaven and earth to sort it out. The 9 escape techniques appeared, stabilizing his own Tao. Using the 9 escape techniques, he located the sun, moon, rivers, mountains, and all things in the universe, arranging the power of the human body. In the end, Su Yan was no longer affected and broke free from the obstacles of cultivation. He even became stronger. His breathing was like the rolling of the Milky Way, and his blood was like the eruption of the sea. His hair was like 100,000 killing swords. Although this was a failed product, it couldn't be considered complete. However, Su Yan had become even stronger. His body transformed into a huge life form, and it was glowing, seizing the power of heaven and earth. In an instant it erupted, and he could activate the profound mysteries of the human body's treasury, attacking all enemies. Many thanks for the guidance. Su Yan laughed loudly. If he hadn't said that just now, this calamity wouldn't have been easy to pass. I was just speaking casually. Could it be that you really comprehended it? The savage tribe's war god was somewhat stunned. Just now, he had shouted out the supreme profound principles of his tribe's heavenly art in a moment of desperation. He didn't expect that it would be of such great help to Su Yan. At this moment, the 4th attack came bombarding over. Su Yan did everything he could to resist. This was especially true for the current Su Yan who had peeked into the supreme profound chapters of the Origin Sutra. He could vaguely see that this kind of test was testing the profound mysteries of the physical body's treasury. This was a test that Su Yan had never experienced before. I have to rush over. Su Yan's eyes were wide open as he welcomed the test. This was a place of inheritance, not a place of death. If he passed this test, he would be able to open the path to the heavens and blast out the profound mysteries of the human body's great treasury. This would lay the foundation for his future path as an expert. 9 attacks, you can ascend the mountain. If you have any gains, you can stay and comprehend them. The test won't disturb you. The savage tribe's war god reminded Su Yan. This made Su Yan especially surprised. There was an unparalleled Injia in his tribe who had ascended this mountain before? He didn't even have time to ask because the 5th attack was coming soon in the following test. Each attack was stronger and more perverted than the previous. The golden palm struck until Su Yan's body was full of cracks. Fortunately, he had swallowed a large amount of divine elixir essence before this. Now that they were all leaking out, his injured body quickly recovered. He stood at his peak state and vibrated the laws of order all over his body. Even his essence blood surged out and faced the palm's test. This is already the 6th attack. He might really be able to ascend the mountain. Back then, it was said that the ancestors of my tribe spent a whole few months here before they could climb up. But I feel that with his current state, he might not even need time to comprehend. He can directly rush up. The savage tribe's war god's heart was in great turmoil. Looking at Su Yan, who was getting stronger and stronger, it was hard to imagine that this was a Daesong erupting. Every time he raised his hand, blood would soar into the sky. The sky was filled with destructive pressure. The order of the great Tao evolved into a destructive tide, causing heaven and earth to change color. The divine might was like a flood. The 7th attack made Su Yan tremble. He felt that he had lost half his life. It was really too perverted. One needed to have a strong enough body to endure it. Moreover, one had to grasp the profound mysteries of the human body's treasury, which was equivalent to one's body and Tao. One could easily use unparalleled battle prowess in their generation. The savage tribe's war god watched with wide eyes. It was getting harder and harder to endure. He also had to face it next. He wondered if he could survive. I can do it too, he roared. His whole body emitted a powerful fighting spirit. Although this was a place of 10 deaths and 1 life, as long as he could endure it, he would be able to stimulate his powerful potential. This was what the savage tribe's war god dreamed of. Although there were hidden dragons in the world, and the soaring abyss could also stimulate one's potential, supreme profound mysteries were something that no place of fortune could give. One could only rely on one's own comprehension. Kill! The instant the eighth attack arrived, Su Yen roared. His hair danced wildly. His body was like the universe. The fist imprint that soared up was so grand that it reflected the mountains, rivers, and stars of the universe. One could imagine how shocking the power of the profound mysteries was contained. Hong Long! The entire area exploded. Flowers of blood bloomed in the sky. Su Yen roared. His body seemed to have exploded. He was bathed in blood and went crazy. The divine treasure stored in his body continuously leaked out. Even some of the essence stored in his emperor blood leaked out. This caused Su Yan's body to shine with boundless divine light, tearing apart the dark sky. Boom! Su Yan's pores surged with qi and blood. His entire body was bathed in emperor blood. Moreover, his inner Tao universe resonated. This was the baptism of emperor blood. His flesh and blood seemed to shed a layer of old skin, revealing a sparkling and resplendent physique. The aura he emitted caused the void to tremble. It was intimidating. This is the final attack. It can trap 99% of the challengers. Will he be able to rush up? Just now, he seemed to have bathed in the essence of emperor blood. This person's foundation is too shocking. His strength has increased a step. What a monster! He actually hasn't reached the peak of the sage realm. The savage tribe's war god was shocked. If Su Yan was standing at the peak of Daesong, what kind of scene would it be? Su Yan's black hair was like a waterfall. His body flowed with a sparkling luster. His body was vast and terrifying. At this moment, he felt as if he could pluck the stars and capture the moon with a raise of his hand. This was not an illusion. This was the embodiment of reality. The transformation of Su Yan's body was too shocking. It emitted a boundless domineering aura. Thick qi and blood radiance sputtered out from the top of his head. Together with the mountains, rivers, and stars of the universe appeared. One could see just how monstrous the Tao of the flesh was. Kill! Su Yen erupted with power. An unparalleled fist imprint blasted out towards the summit. He wanted to ascend the land of fortune and witness the supreme inheritance that no one had ever obtained before. Chapter 1929. Su Yan's fist imprint was like a rainbow. The moment it erupted, a resplendent rain of light filled the skies. This was like a true scene of the universe. The fist imprint's grandeur reflected the sun, moon, mountains, and rivers, as well as the veins of the heavens and rivers. It was filled with a shocking strength that could break through all laws, filled with an unrivaled might that could suppress the universe. The chanting of the great Tao flowed out from Su Yan's body. This was the Tao that was born from his body. His body was like the universe, transforming the heavens and earth. He stole the power of the universe and penetrated it into his body, instantly opening up the body's greatest treasure. He could kill all enemies. The young war god of the Man Huang tribe was overwhelmed with emotions. This was the path he wanted to walk in the future. He never thought that Su Yen would have already touched upon it and even grasped it. Then, just how strong was his mortal body? Not to mention releasing his magic power. He felt that Su Yan's mortal body could cross a large boundary and directly attack the sovereign realm. This was the lineage of body cultivators. All strength originated from the mortal body, a source of divine strength that could pierce through the heavens and earth. Kill! Su Yen roared. The peak of Fist Mountain was a strength that could be guided out. Moreover, it was grand to the extreme, boundless enough to suppress one's body and mind. Su Yen was horrified. He originally thought that the fist he used was tyrannical enough, but the 9th level of the ultimate smelting trial was like the universe falling down. The pressure could topple mountains and overturn seas, causing the entire mountain to fiercely rumble. The great Tao in the skies resonated with it, rotating and falling down together with it. Su Yen let out a low roar. The fist force that he was so proud of had shattered. His entire body was trembling. It was as if he was being distorted along with the world, turning into a whirlpool. He was about to be distorted into pieces of flesh and blood. What a grand strength! It was impossible to find the source. As the killing intent in the skies dispersed, Su Yan spat out a mouthful of blood and fell to the ground. Su Yan's eyes lost focus. He had failed. He looked into the dark, starry skies, not discouraged at all. Su Yan crawled up with difficulty, his eyes dark. That strike just now had been too powerful and could have slaughtered him at any moment. But the ultimate smelting trial hadn't killed him. Su Yan's breathing was heavy. He felt hopeless. It wasn't that he wasn't strong enough, but the power that he had just displayed wasn't something that Daesung could touch. Could it be that this path couldn't be taken? But there had been people who had passed and climbed to the top. How could they explain that? Was he that unbearable? However, Su Yan didn't believe it. He was already very powerful. He could face all the enemies in the Sage Realm. This was Su Yan's belief. His Dao Law had really reached the limit. If he couldn't beat them, then it could only be said that he was innately deficient. As Su Yan observed his surroundings and wanted to learn more from the young battle god of the Manwang tribe, he realized that he was already standing at the peak of the mountain. How Su Yan's face twitched. Had he succeeded? How could this be? He had definitely failed, as there was no way he could survive the 9th Golden Palm strike. However, how did he manage to climb up? In the next moment, Su Yan understood. It wasn't that he was too weak. In fact, it was an extremely difficult test. Perhaps as long as he could endure it for a while, he would be able to pass. All for nothing? Su Yan frowned and muttered to himself. In fact, he had already gained a lot. He had seen another path to becoming an expert. This was something that couldn't be achieved even after thousands of years of seclusion. The 9 consecutive strikes targeted the Tao of the physical body and the power of the body cultivator. I wonder what all for nothing is? I wonder what I will face. There must be an incredible legacy on this mountain. Su Yan gradually calmed down and let out a roar towards the bottom of the mountain. He wished that the battle god of the Manwang tribe could also rush up. After doing all this, he walked up the mountain. This was the true peak of the first mountain. It was as if he had arrived at the beginning of the world and stood at the beginning of the world. The world was too big. It was vast and boundless. A mysterious attraction guided Su Yan forward. He was looking forward to what he would experience next. It's my turn. The battle god of the Manwang tribe took a deep breath and hammered his own chest. He said in a low voice, "Barbarian god, you can do it. You are the new battle god of the Manwang tribe. You must not disgrace the name of the barbarian god." In the era of his rise, the tribe placed high hopes on him. He was given the title of the new barbarian god. This was the most glorious title that belonged to their tribe. The barbarian god solemnly took out a sealed pill. This was a supreme secret pill given to him by the battle god of the tribe. It was made from the rare emperor blood of the tribe and various rare spiritual herbs and minerals. This pill could not only help the barbarian god grow, but it was also his greatest life-saving trump card. He swallowed the pill. Without hesitation, he began to rush up the mountain to accept the ultimate trial. At this moment, the mountaineering contest was still going on the first mountain. The 3 great experts had already reached the peak. There were more and more people in the second echelon. There were already tens of thousands of outstanding talents. Currently, Baokai and the others had already explored the second purgatory. 6 of them had also entered the third purgatory. They already had the qualifications to become core members of the Immortal Cave. It was still too early to discuss when they would rush to the Sea of Purgatory. Everything was still going on. The big shots of the various tribes at the foot of the mountain were all waiting for Su Yan's return. They wanted to see with their own eyes how outstanding this person who had dominated an entire era of the universe was. The Tenrai of Beach has gone down the mountain. Why hasn't Su Yan and the others come down? Some people were discussing. They were probably absorbing the sacred elixir. Only a few people had a premonition that something was wrong. Even if they were absorbing the sacred elixir, there was a time limit. Why hadn't Su Yen and the barbarian god come down the mountain? The Tenrai of Beach. A series of old experts walked out from this lineage. They didn't know what to say. They didn't expect that Su Yen would pluck the peach. Once this matter spread out, it would sweep through the vast immortal world. Su Yen would immediately become the most sought-after peerless genius of the immortal world. They originally wanted to comfort the Tenrai of Beach, but who knew that the Tenrai of Beach would be all smiles like a spring breeze? This made them both shocked and happy. It seemed that the Tenrai of Beach wasn't discouraged. He had an unparalleled demeanor. Losing in speed didn't mean losing in battle strength. The Tenrai of Beach still had a chance. The immortal demon war was his greatest opportunity. The Tenrai of Beach wore a gentle smile. He had a very elegant demeanor and bearing. This was the demeanor of a peerless expert. It caused people to exclaim in admiration. Although the Tenrai of Beach is ranked second, he is after all the inheritor of the Thunder Immortals lineage. He has mastered the heaven-opening Thunder scripture. In the future, he will definitely be an unparalleled and shocking figure. I'm looking forward to his performance in the Immortal Demon War. There were 3 places: Su Yen, the barbarian god, and the Tenrai of Beach. These 3 were all qualified to participate in the war. Second place? The Tenrai of Beach smile didn't last long. His eyes were wide open. Lightning flashed in his pupils. His mind was trembling. What was going on? What second place? He was a little confused. Who could tell him what was going on? Wasn't he the first to ascend the mountain? Why was he still second? What was this? The Tenrai of Beach, a group of old experts who rushed over were surprised. They noticed that the Tenrai of Beach's body was swaying slightly. Their hearts immediately tightened. Could it be that he had used too much of his energy from the sprint? The Tenrai of Beach had just finished his Tao demonstration. It wasn't suitable for him to use force for a long time. He had to go back and rest. Su Yen. At this moment, the Tenrai of Beach's body was a little weak. He felt like he had been punched. His brother was killed by Su Yen. Starry Night had also fallen. The two of them had a great hatred of life and death. The Tenrai of Beach originally wanted to dominate the first mountain, look down on the world, and become the strongest person in this era of the universe. Now, Su Yan's appearance gave him a heavy blow, especially when he already felt that he was the strongest in the world. He was supposed to receive the praise of the world when he went down the mountain. Now that the dream was shattered, it was really... He almost coughed out a mouthful of blood. He had almost lost a lot of face. The Tenrai of Beach. The Chaos Immortal Elder was here. He collected his thoughts and took a deep breath. He walked over and greeted, "Greetings, Chaos Immortal Elder. Although you're second, your performance is not bad." The Chaos Immortal Elder praised, "Thunder Immortal Elder will be very happy if he knows. It's my honor to be praised by the Chaos Immortal Elder." The Tenrai of Beach's heart was bleeding. He would rather the barbarian god surpass him than see Su Yen take first place and dominate the world. When the first mountain opened, Thunder Immortal Elder had high hopes for him, hoping that he could climb to the top. But in the end, he was actually below Su Yen. This was a humiliation for the Tenrai of Beach. Moreover, Thunder Immortal Elder still couldn't forget Little Thunder's death. How could he be happy? As for the Chaos Immortal Elder, he didn't know at all. What Little Thunder? It was just a small matter. Why would he bother to pay attention to such a small matter? Where did Su Yen go? The people around were also curious. When they saw the Tenrai of Beach shake his head, they were surprised. He didn't know? Where's the barbarian god? The Chaos Immortal Elder frowned. He went to the ultimate trial ground. The Tenrai of Beach said in a low voice, "Chaos Immortal Elder, I have something to do. I'll leave first." Nonsense. The Chaos Immortal Elder was shocked and furious. The people around were also in an uproar. Is he crazy? An old sect master roared, is he crazy? Are the youngsters nowadays crazy? He even dares to go to the ultimate trial ground. Su Yen is one thing, but is the barbarian god crazy? An old expert who was biased against the human realm shouted angrily. He didn't think that Su Yen, who came from the human realm, would participate in the immortal demon battlefield and be willing to risk his life for the immortal realm. Chaos Immortal Elder, this is a serious matter. We should immediately think of a way to summon them down the mountain. We can't let them mess around. An old expert who was worried about the immortal demon war said in a trembling voice, "These two are good seedlings that are hard to find. If they die in the ultimate trial ground, it will be a great loss for our immortal realm." The Chaos Immortal Elder's face was ashen. Wasn't this nonsense? The number 1 mountain under the heavens had opened. The immortal cave also wanted to get peerless geniuses to nurture, but they went to die? Mu Xian's face was pale. Her delicate body swayed. The ultimate trial ground, 10 deaths 1 life. Big Gold didn't care. If they went, then so be it. Wasn't it just a trial ground? If they couldn't break it, it meant they weren't good enough. In short, the entire world had gone crazy. After all, there were bloody examples. Even the peerless geniuses of the immortal cave had died in the ultimate trial ground back then. That was a land of death. At this moment, Su Yen was approaching the land of inheritance. He found a stone tablet. It was pure white like jade, and there was a human-shaped imprint on it. Su Yen was shocked. The stone tablet shone, and the imprint on it came to life. A barefoot farmer walked out, carrying a simple and unadorned axe. He looked at Su Yen. "You are..." Su Yen was shocked. There was a living creature here? I haven't seen a youngster come for many years. The farmer's eyes were turbid, his body was stooped, and he was lethargic. He smiled and said, "Youthful vitality makes me yearn for it." "Senior, could it be the master of the first mountain?" Su Yen was overwhelmed with emotions. There was a living creature on the mountain. If this news spread, who knew how many races would be shocked? Most of the emperor races would be no exception. Chapter 1930. The barefoot farmer had a stooped back and didn't answer Su Yan's question. He was lethargic and his eyes were turbid. This was the manifestation of the stone tablet's imprint. He walked out with an ancient axe and gently swung it forward. Kacha! A space-time crack appeared. It was deep and terrifying, accompanied by the boundless light of time. This axe seemed to have opened up the long river of time and penetrated through one cosmic era after another. This kind of power that had returned to the origin shocked Su Yen greatly. Just what was the background of this barefoot farmer? Could it be that the imprint on the stone tablet was a special life form that had been enlightened by a supreme existence? The space-time crack opened by this axe also gradually returned to silence. One could see the source of the crack. There was a huge copper palace. The copper palace seemed to have passed away in the long river of time. Its doors suddenly opened and swallowed Su Yen directly. It was difficult to resist along the way. This kind of terrifying power had an unknown origin. It seemed to be accompanied by the passage of time and suppressed Su Yen to the point of suffocation. Very soon, he returned to normal. The interior of the copper palace was completely empty. There were no furnishings or scenes. Just what was hidden on the peak of the first mountain. Perhaps this secret would be revealed very soon. Su Yen stood up and walked forward. However, he was shocked at the next moment. His entire body was confined by a formless energy and couldn't move at all. Did this power originate from the Copper Palace? The ancient Copper Palace was vast and boundless. It was unknown what material it was made of, but it vaguely gave Su Yen a fatal threat. It was mysterious and unfathomable. It was as if it could directly crush Su Yen into pieces when it unleashed its might. "Senior, why did you send me here?" Su Yen raised his head and asked. Fortune, inheritance, comprehension. The barefoot farmer transmitted his words. I'll give you 10 years to memorize the Copper Palace's ultimate arts and comprehend some of its profundities. Then you can pass the trial. Inheritance? Su Yen scratched his head in bewilderment and astonishment. The entire Copper Palace had confined him, and he couldn't even see any traces of the inheritance? Where was the inheritance? 10 years. In the next moment, Su Yen was horrified and shouted, Senior, can this junior come again next time? I can't wait for 10 years. I still have important matters to attend to in the outside world. Since we've entered the World Mountain and come to the land of inheritance, we have no other choice. The barefoot farmer's words came again. It was unknown where he was observing Su Yen from, but he said calmly, If you fail within 10 years, I'll erase your memories and send you down the mountain. Su Yen felt as if he had been struck by lightning. Nothing, this was nothing. If you failed, you would have your memories severed. It was no wonder that no one from the first mountain had been able to uncover its secrets for so long. Everyone who failed had their memories severed. However, Su Yen really couldn't wait for 10 years. There were only 3 or 4 years left before the start of the Great War of the Immortals and Devils. Senior, is there no room for negotiation? Su Yen bitterly spoke. 10 years was too long, there was no way he would miss out on the Immortal Devil War. The shortcut to the Immortal King path was something he had to take. Although the supreme inheritance was tempting, the risk was too great. Once Su Yen failed, all his efforts would be for naught. How is this possible? Su Yan's heart was filled with endless coldness. Small Pagoda had fallen silent. Although Small Pagoda was in hibernation to nurture the 10th level, Small Pagoda had always been circulating in his sea of consciousness. Su Yen couldn't sense any aura at all. It was clearly in his sea of consciousness, but it was as if it had disappeared. How frightening was the land of inheritance of the first mountain. Small Pagoda was qualified to fight against a titled Great Emperor, but even so, it was forcefully suppressed. It wouldn't allow anything to affect Su Yan's comprehension of the inheritance. Su Yan clenched his fists tightly. Such a shocking inheritance, Su Yen had a feeling that it was even more terrifying than the reward for being the strongest in the Great War of the Immortals and Devils. Moreover, if he was given 10 years to break through, would Su Yen complete it in advance? Now I can only risk it all. I'll do my best to break through. I have to break through the land of inheritance before the start of the Great War of the Immortals and Devils. Su Yan's eyes blazed. The inheritance must be hidden in the Copper Palace. Although he couldn't see it, he could still draw it out. His body blazed. His corporeal body stood at the peak of the domain. However, even in his peak state, he couldn't break through the Copper Palace's confinement on Su Yen. The source of this confinement power couldn't be found. It seemed to originate from the heavens, from time, and from the environment. It was as if a deep abyss had collapsed, suppressing Su Yan's body and mind. Rumble! The blood and qi in his body boiled and howled. The more he struggled, the more shocking the pressure was. Struggling to the extreme, his body blossomed like the universe. A blurry light of supreme profoundness circulated in Su Yan's body, causing the treasures in his body to rumble. In an instant, he obtained a shocking strength. Plucking the stars and capturing the moon was as easy as pie. Su Yen in his strongest state contained the might of thunder and lightning. His pure corporeal strength appeared. His pores emitted the light of the primordial profoundness of all things. When his inner Tao universe trembled, Su Yen could vaguely sense it. The Copper Palace changed. In an instant, it became countless times more majestic. There was no end in sight. A living being standing here was as small as a speck of dust. It was clear how vast the universe inside the Copper Palace was. Su Yen was imprisoned under the Copper Palace. He raised his head and looked at the top of the Copper Palace. Gradually, countless dense patterns appeared. One after another, they were like golden palm prints that pressed down. Each palm print seemed small, but they were actually as majestic as the heavens. They contained unrivaled power that could move the heavens and overturn the universe. This was the embodiment of supreme profoundness, containing the principles of heaven and earth. This scripture. Outside the Copper Palace, the barefoot farmer was astonished. In the past, there were pinnacle heroes who fought their way to the mountain peak. Among them, there were a few who sat there for 10 years and couldn't see any inheritance. They were directly expelled. There were also some who spent 3 to 4 years before they could barely see some of the supreme profoundness. In short, to memorize all the Tao inheritances within 10 years was too harsh. At the same time, it also meant that one needed to be an unrivaled character in order to break through the land of inheritance. However, Su Yan grasped an extremely special scripture. Although the supreme profoundness emitted from his body was incomplete, he could still see a portion of the Copper Palace's inheritance. This was extremely terrifying. The scripture he grasped was also broad and profound. One law could connect to 10,000 laws. This bought him precious time, and perhaps he really did have a chance of breaking through. Su Yan was dizzy and exhausted. He fell to the ground and fell into a deep sleep. The sky was filled with golden palm prints. They carried supreme profoundness and contained the principles of heaven and earth. Su Yan was exhausted as he observed the process. It was as if his body and mind had fallen into darkness. 10 years is too short. I can't sleep. Su Yan roared. He seemed to have gone mad. The dormant 10-colored precious blood suddenly surged with a rumble, emitting supreme bloodline energy. It passed through his limbs and bones, causing Su Yan's aura to become even more powerful. This was his most hidden trump card. He had almost never used it before. The instant the 10-colored precious blood awakened, he seemed to have transformed into a 10-colored god of war. A divine eye appeared between his brows, and his comprehension rose by a large margin. Unknowingly, Su Yan's bloodline transmitted a terrifying resistance. It blocked the supreme profoundness that filled the sky and suppressed him, allowing him to see more clearly. The dense pattern diagrams that appeared on the Copper Palace's roof gradually changed in Su Yan's eyes. Golden palm prints emerged with the principles of heaven and earth. The sun, moon, mountains, rivers, flowers, birds, fishes, insects, and the heavens of the universe were all manifesting. Every palm was so vast that it covered the reincarnation cycle of the heavens. The moment it pressed down, it extracted the essence of the universe and condensed a peerless killing intent equal to that of the master of the universe. The power of the heavens, Su Yan sighed in amazement. Any hand could evolve the limit of the universe. Could it be understood as the power of the heavens? Su Yan's body shone. He was clearly excited and crazy. This was a supreme secret technique. Once grasped, it would be of great help to him. Needless to say, it would have a heaven-defying effect. It was equivalent to a supreme killing technique. To be precise, this was not a secret technique. Instead, it was more like a supreme mystery. Although Su Yan was young, the scriptures he cultivated were all ancient and dazzling. Moreover, he was proficient in the strange arts. The initial scripture had also peered into the supreme mysteries. Thus, he felt that he could comprehend it in less than 10 years. Let's begin. Su Yan grinned. If he couldn't grasp this opportunity, then the heavens would not tolerate it. After all, he had the advantage of time, place, and people. He also wanted to know what the first mountain would give him after breaking the land of inheritance. This was a land of good fortune that no one could obtain. Could it be that it was the same as the mysterious skeleton in the past, an invincible giant that accompanied the origin of the immortal source? Could it be the orthodoxy left behind by such a person? Outside the Copper Palace, on top of the mountain, the barbarian god was struggling. His body was covered in blood. He wanted to use the mountain's ultimate test to retrace his ancestral path. The first mountain, the Sea of Purgatory, had already gathered more than 10 creatures. Until now, no one had been able to break through. Big Goldie valued Bao Kai more and more. What was the path of the beast god? Bao Kai's bloodline contained the blood of 10,000 beasts. However, any bloodline was an immemorial ferocious beast. It was extremely difficult to refine it. Without a strong spirit, it was impossible to do so. Now that Bao Kai had rushed into the sea of purgatory, if it was suppressed by the spiritual force, it might be able to transform and completely embark on the path of the divine beast. At this moment, the immortal world was still in chaos. The celestial tyrant lord's death had not been found yet. Now, a piece of news had spread and instantly caused a sensation in the immortal world. Heaven's equal sage king, Su Yen. A title was infinitely glorious and supreme. It could be said that no one in the world did not know him. The first person to reach the pinnacle of the first mountain, Su Yen. Even the Tenrai of Beach was suppressed. A super dark horse had appeared out of nowhere and exploded in the immortal world. His influence was so great that it set off stormy waves and caused heated discussions among the various races in the immortal world. In just half a month, Su Yen had become an influential figure and was listed as the pinnacle of the generation in the immortal world. The pinnacle of the first mountain was actually plucked by Su Yen. He was also listed in the challenge letter. How strong is this person? Too many people were shocked and surprised. This outcome was too unexpected. Even if the barbarian god had surpassed the Tenrai of Beach, they would not be too shocked. However, Su Yan's fame was not too great, but he became famous in one battle. He climbed to the pinnacle and looked down on the world. At the same time, the Xian people were furious. Why was it him? They could not believe that an ant that they could crush at any time in the mortal world had such terrifying achievements. Haha, he's just a dead man. It's nothing. The upper echelons of the Starry Sky Emperor races were in an uproar. They immediately received news that Su Yen had gone to the ultimate land of refinement, causing the upper echelons of the various races to be overjoyed. This brat has really forced himself into a dead end. Many people were stunned. They did not dare to believe this news. The mortality rate in the first mountain's ultimate land of refinement was too high. 10 deaths and 1 life. He dared to go to such a difficult land of refinement? Who gave him the courage to do so? Nonsense. In the celestial monkey race, the old monkey was also shocked. This was because the race once had a war god seed with an extremely powerful physical body go to the ultimate land of refinement, but in the end, he never returned. Throughout the history of the immortal world, the number of existences that the old monkey knew of that had survived the ultimate land of refinement could be counted on one hand. Would Su Yen become the new lucky one? Moreover, it was not just Su Yen. The barbarian god of the savage race had also gone. 2 peerless geniuses had gone to the ultimate land of refinement in succession. The upper echelons of the immortal old academy were also shocked. Wasn't this nonsense? The great war between immortals and demons was about to begin. The immortal world was in need of people. If 2 peerless geniuses fell, it would be a great loss to the immortal world. FBZW. Chapter 1931. The immortal world was in a perilous situation. 2 great talents had gone to the ultimate trial ground. In the history of the immortal world, only a few people had survived. Some people were worried, some sneered, and some said that they had overestimated themselves. Is it really a land of death? Neither of them can leave the mountain? Some people were terrified. This was a heavy blow to the immortal world. It was hard to produce a great figure in an era of the universe. Now, 2 of them were going to die. The barbarian god might survive, because their clan once had a terrifying war god who came down the mountain alive. Someone sighed in admiration, and then said coldly, "As for Su Yen, does he want to stand shoulder to shoulder with Empress and the others?" This sentence silenced many people. Although they acknowledged Su Yan's strength, who was the princess? She and the young emperor had both survived the ultimate trial. Because of this, their fame had spread far and wide. They had the bearing of great emperors and were revered by the world. They lived in legends and legends, but Su Yen, who came from the human world, dared to dream of standing shoulder to shoulder with them? Some people thought that Su Yen was too arrogant. He had defeated the Tenrai of Beach, but he was not invincible. As far as I know, they are not the only ones. There are some who survived. This opportunity caused the older generation to sigh. Losing and staying alive is not glorious. But the princess and the others are different because they broke the ultimate trial ground and came back alive. This caused a shocking impact. What was hidden on the mountain? Could it be that the princess could not find the answer? Were the young emperor and the others not strong enough? The young emperor had already left the immortal cave and stepped into the immortal king realm. Why did they go to the ultimate trial ground? Bamboo Moon was worried. She and Xixia Fairy had come down the mountain and obtained the opportunity to cultivate in the outer area of the immortal cave for 10 years. It was like a nightmare to suddenly hear about this. Don't worry, Bamboo Moon. Su Yen will not mess around, Xixia Fairy said softly. Xixia Fairy said softly, there must be a major problem with this mountain. Back then, Master also said that there might be an extraordinary inheritance. Maybe Su Yen has gained something. Bamboo Moon's heart was uneasy. The whole world was in a hubbub of voices. The storm caused by this incident was too shocking. Time passed day after day. Ever since the 3 top heroes broke into the mountain, hundreds of Ingjie had been trapped in the Purgatory Ocean. So far, no one had reached the peak of the first mountain. From this, it could be seen how powerful the 3 Tenrai of Beach were. In the Copper Palace, Su Yen lost track of time. The palace was huge, grand, and vast. One couldn't see the end of it. The entire top of the palace was sprinkled with golden patterns, one after another, like a huge waterfall falling down. The more Su Yen observed, the deeper his understanding of the Copper Palace's hidden inheritance became. His harvest was also greater. Gradually, he was shaken. It was as if he could see the heavens and the universe moving. This was not a natural force, but a force formed by man. He even discovered that the walls of the huge Copper Palace were covered in dense, endless golden engravings. There were too many. Su Yen felt as if he was in the ancient universe. His body turned into a small boat, sailing on the universe's ocean, bearing the impact of the stormy waves and bearing the suppression of the laws of heaven and earth. System, a complete cultivation civilization. Su Yen whispered. He had touched upon a brand new cultivation civilization. The body was supreme. This was something he had never encountered before. It was as if he had returned to the time when the world was created. The strong were as numerous as trees in the forest, and the fierce beasts were rampant. The human race excavated the potential of the body and created the path of body cultivation. They fought with the fierce beasts with their bodies. The great path of body cultivation. The more he saw, the more profound the patterns were, from shallow to deep. Suddenly, Su Yan's sea of consciousness shook. The world changed. The Copper Palace seemed to have been destroyed and turned into a primitive world. Low roars exploded, one after another. It was as if endless thunder had fallen. The entire world was filled with a cold, austere aura that wanted to tear apart one's soul, sever one's flesh, and extinguish one's life force. This was a supreme killing move. A head full of golden beasts pounced down, one after another. It was an endless flood of iron and blood. If an ordinary person's body was destroyed, they would not be able to survive. This killing power was too abnormal. Su Yen let out a loud roar. His black hair danced in the wind as he raised his fist and attacked the beasts that were pouncing toward him. He was majestic and imposing, drawing blood with every punch. Every strike caused the human body to resonate, the inner universe to operate, and the giant beasts to explode. It was as if he was walking the path of the ancient ancestors. He bathed in blood and killed, creating the path of body cultivation and tempering his body into a great killing machine. The second trial. It's only been a year. The barefoot farmer was astonished. Su Yan's speed was too fast. He had already unlocked the second trial. If he was strong enough, he might be able to open the third trial in a few years. In short, Su Yan was the fastest in history. The subsequent trials would only get more difficult. He could faintly see a glimmer of hope from Su Yan. Kill! Su Yan roared. The more he fought, the more ferocious he became. The giant beasts pouncing toward him began to tremble. His flesh and blood surged with unparalleled power. It was as if he had turned into the ancestral body of the human race as he attacked the giant beasts. Su Yan was the least afraid of battle. His ferocity was too strong. He attacked the heavens and the earth. He grew in battle, absorbing the inheritance's nutrients and crazily breaking through. Comprehension. He had to crazily comprehend. Every giant beast was formed from a secret pattern diagram and contained the crystallization of a cultivation civilization's realm. After exploding, they turned into a brilliant rain of golden light that sprinkled onto Su Yan's body. They were like the inheritance's nutrients, flowing in the soil and nurturing the war god's seed, allowing it to grow healthily. He had to succeed. Su Yan had already gained a lot. However, the premise was that if he failed, all his gains would be for naught. Kill! Su Yan's eyes were blood-red. He entered a frenzied state. It was as if he had turned into an ancient, ferocious beast. He charged into the enemy army and killed day after day, month after month. His ferocious aura became stronger and stronger. The strength of his body became more and more terrifying. He could easily destroy the great Tao of heaven and earth. Unbelievable! Look! At this moment, the experts of various races gathered at the foot of the first mountain exclaimed in unison. Many people's eyes were trembling as they pointed at the mountain peak. The loud roar was like a roar that shook the universe. The aura of 10,000 beasts appeared. Under the influence of Baotsai's terrifying spiritual will, a giant figure was outlined and rushed toward the mountain peak. Baokai roared and kept repeating in its mind, "I'm the beast god, the king of beasts, the commander of all beasts in the world." The sea of purgatory tortured it for more than a year. In the end, its ferocious will awakened. Under self-hypnosis, it condensed the aura of the king of beast gods and controlled all beasts. It opened the inheritance of the beast god and reached the top of the first mountain. How can it be him? How can it be him? The Xian people's eyes almost popped out of their socket. Tai Baokai, a creature under Su Yan's command, had reached the top of the first mountain. All over the world, the people of the human realm were stunned and petrified. The fourth person had appeared. It was another super dark horse. However, the problem was that it came from the human realm like Su Yan. This matter caused a huge commotion. The Chaos Deity Elder was even worried that this person would mess around. He even sent a voice transmission to tell it not to enter the ultimate trial ground and to leave the mountain immediately after absorbing the fortune. However, the Chaos Deity Elder specially sent Baokai to the ultimate trial ground to see if Su Yan and the barbarian god were still alive. It had already been more than a year. The barbarian god had long since failed countless times. However, he still launched powerful attacks again and again. What's the point of asking? Su Yan should have died long ago. The barbarian god is no exception. An expert from the Tenrai of Beech's bloodline sneered. Once these two died, how could a mere Tai Baokai contend against the Tenrai of Beech? Although these words were a bit shameless, didn't it mean that the Tenrai of Beech possessed great fortune? The fourth person to reach the pinnacle of the first mountain came from the human realm. This was someone who had reached the top of the first mountain and was directly nurtured as a peerless genius. From this, it could be seen how shocking the storm caused by Baotsai's success was. The human realm, Su Yan, Tai Baokai. These two rose too suddenly. This incident caused a stir among the clan's upper echelons who had been silent and grieving. An immortal king from the Luan clan growled, It's been almost 2 years, and we still can't find the real culprit. Do you think it could be the human realm? If they went to the Emperor's repository Dao Cave, there might be some possibility. An expert from the Luan clan had a gloomy expression. However, no one could determine whether Su Yan and the others had really gone there. The Emperor's repository Dao Cave had resisted the various great Emperor clans' explorations for a long time. One could imagine that the Bury the Heavens had left behind an incredible foundation. Even if there's a glimmer of hope, we can't miss it. Looks like we'll have to go to the first mountain. The clan's upper echelons all had cold expressions. The fall of the celestial tyrant had caused this clan to go completely crazy. There was nothing they didn't dare to do. So what if Su Yan and Baokai were peak talents? No matter who was behind the fall of the celestial tyrant, they would have to pay a heavy price. Another 3 months passed. Su Yan was like the reincarnation of an Azura. His black hair fell like a waterfall, and his ferocious aura filled the sky. Endless slaughter. This was terrifying. He was really a battle maniac, born to be a battle maniac. The barefoot farmer was shocked. He had only used half a year to complete the cruel training that should have taken 3 years. Su Yan was bathed in blood. Strange energy waves rose from his pores. Boom! In an instant, a destructive aura surged. It was extremely domineering, and it caused the world to tremble. The few remaining giant beasts in the sky trembled, and they were about to explode one after another. Kill! Su Yan roared into the sky. He was like a sleeping giant that had been resurrected. The day song in the sky exploded again, and he stood proudly like a peerless emperor. Tsk. Su Yan's domineering aura filled the sky. His hair danced like a waterfall, and he tore apart the giant beasts in the sky. If this scene was witnessed by others, they would be shocked. The giant beasts in the sky were all at the level of the Daesong. However, Su Yan's black hair danced wildly, and he released a terrifying force. Strand after strand of hair tore apart the giant Daesong beasts in the sky. What kind of terrifying combat strength was this? Was this the legendary invincible body? Every strand of hair was like a great killing weapon, and every pore was like a wormhole in the universe. Su Yan stood between the heavens and the earth, and he had a peerless domineering aura. Chapter 1932. Blazing Shadows, Tyrannical Battle Prowess, Absolute Power. This was simply an invincible body. His hair danced in the wind, tearing apart the heavens and splitting the stars. Upon closer inspection, one could see that Su Yan's body had reached the pinnacle, as if it had given birth to a true universe. As he breathed, the world rumbled, and Su Yan's figure became infinitely large, as if the universe had given birth to a supreme god. This was very powerful and abnormal. He had peeked into the Copper Palace's inheritance and perfected the Tao of the Innerverse. The deeper he walked on this path, the stronger his battle prowess would be. Su Yan's divine eyes were like lightning as he saw the Copper Palace change. All the rune diagrams flickered, turning into one giant palm print after another. Each palm print was filled with the power to crush eternity and break the river of time. This was definitely a supreme inheritance left behind by an unrivaled being. This should be the most fundamental inheritance. As long as he could comprehend it, he would be able to pass. How much time has passed? Su Yan shouted. He had forgotten everything while immersed in killing and comprehending. He was truly worried that after 7 or 8 years, the great war of immortals and demons would have ended long ago. 2 years. The barefoot farmer replied. As long as you can comprehend the third layer of the inheritance, you can become an in-name disciple of the heaven-splitting faction. The heaven-splitting faction? Su Yan's expression changed, and then his eyes widened. In-name disciple? What the hell was that? Who had left behind this inheritance? With his potential, he was only qualified to become an in-name disciple of the First Mountain. If news of this spread, who would dare to imagine it? The heaven-splitting faction? Su Yen muttered. He thought of the 10 great heavens scriptures. This was a legend in the immortal world. Even now, no one knew whether the 10 great heavens scriptures were natural or man-made. Now, the strongest inheritance of the first mountain allowed him to become an in-name disciple of the heaven-splitting faction. Su Yen could not help but think. Could it be related to the 10 great heavens scriptures? There was no point in thinking too much. He had yet to break through the inheritance, so thinking about this was meaningless. Once he failed, all his gains would be mercilessly taken away. 2 years. I still have time. Also, I want to break through in 2 years and charge out. Su Yen roared in a low voice, encouraging himself. He had to do it. He had to leave with the inheritance. Once he severed his memories, everything would be for naught. Su Yen rushed towards the first golden palm print. Just as he neared, the palm print glowed and pressed down with a loud rumble. Su Yen felt as though he was seeing the end of the universe. The world withered, the heavens collapsed, and order ceased to exist. At this moment, Su Yen felt that everything he had learned was insignificant and pitiful. It was as if he was being suppressed by the strongest force in the world. The inheritance test here did not require Su Yen to master it. As long as he could comprehend some profound meaning, he could pass. The barefooted farmer was also looking forward to it. Countless years had passed, and no one had been able to complete the breakthrough within 10 years. The conditions were too harsh. There had been exceptional geniuses before, and if they were given a few more years, they might have a chance to succeed. Unfortunately, a place of inheritance was a place of inheritance. Even if they were given a few more years to comprehend it, they still wouldn't have the qualifications to grasp the inheritance and bring it to greater heights. He's gone down the mountain. Look, he's gone down the mountain. At the foot of the first mountain, the entire world was in an uproar. Ever since Su Yen had gone to the ultimate land of refinement, 2 years and 3 months had passed. The Baokai, it's the Baokai. Bamboo Moon's emotions were surging. She had waited bitterly for over 2 years, anxious and restless every day. Now, she could finally hear news of Su Yen. Gradually, Bamboo Moon's expression became more and more anxious. The Baokai was carrying a figure covered in blood down the mountain. Others might not be able to recognize this heavily wounded expert, but Bamboo Moon was well aware that this was not her man. Who is it? Is it Su Yen? Or the barbarian god? Many people were nervous, but there were also some who were relieved. Of these 2 apex heroes, it was better for one to fall than 2 to die in battle. Now, the first mountain had another apex hero. Including Su Yen, there were a total of 5 apex heroes. This selection of the first mountain was comparable to the most glorious era. There were a total of 5 apex heroes, and there were still a large number of experts trapped in the sea of purgatory. Perhaps there was still hope for them to escape. It's the barbarian god. The Baokai descended the mountain. The experts of the Tenrai of Beek's lineage walked over to investigate. They immediately laughed and said, Su Yen died up there? Why didn't they bring his corpse down? *T. The Baokai was furious. Its eyes were wide open as it roared, You old dog, your dog mouth can't spit out ivory. Who said my brother is dead? Which dog eye of yours saw my brother die? You. The warrior from the heavenly Thunder King's bloodline was so angry that his face changed. His eyes almost popped out of their sockets as he pointed at Baokai and scolded, You be *starred, how dare you insult and disrespect me? With that, he raised his hand to teach the Baokai a lesson. However, the Chaos Immortal Elder's unparalleled heavenly aura came crashing down. With a boom, he trembled and spat out a mouthful of blood. His body was about to collapse. You're really impudent. Are you happy that Su Yen died? The Chaos Immortal Elder was furious. He valued Su Yen and thought that he was worthy of nurturing. However, the Tenrai of Beek's lineage was too happy, wasn't it? This lineage had gone too far. If Su Yen survived, He would be a main force in the great war of immortals and demons. However, these people were mocking and ridiculing him. Were they treating the immortal world's most important matter as a game? Calm down, immortal elder. A group of experts knelt down and begged for mercy, trembling. They didn't even dare to breathe loudly. The Chaos Immortal Elder is magnanimous, unlike some people who are so evil that they can't bear to see others rise. Tai Baokai shouted angrily. This group of dogs laughed out loud. It seemed that they couldn't wait for Su Yan to die immediately. This group of experts of the Tenrai of Beech's lineage were furious. However, they didn't dare to say a word and just knelt down and begged for mercy. Su Yan, the Chaos Immortal Elder, frowned. Had he died? He also checked the barbarian god's injuries and immediately ordered his followers, immediately bring the barbarian god into the immortal cave and nourish him with the heaven and earth dragon pool. Move quickly. Some of the veteran experts who had gathered around were shocked. This treatment was too good, wasn't it? The heaven and earth dragon pool was one of the strongest treasures of the immortal cave. The barbarian god's injuries suddenly became serious. If he was nourished by the heaven and earth dragon pool, it wouldn't take long for him to recover. My brother is fine, Tai Baokai said proudly. He climbed the mountain. What did you say? The Chaos Immortal Elder's eyes widened. His voice was filled with excitement and shock. Su Yan had passed the ultimate test? Tai Baokai didn't expect the Chaos Immortal Elder's reaction to be so intense. Even the nearby experts were shocked. Had he passed the ultimate test? Was he the next princess or young emperor? You're full of nonsense. The experts of the Tenrai of Beech couldn't help but say, What's wrong with you? Did you see Su Yan climb the mountain with your own eyes? How can it be fake? Tai Baokai felt that Su Yan had most likely done something big. He said proudly, Wait for Brother Barbarian God to wake up. You can ask him in person and you'll know. This area was in an uproar. Was this for real? Even though Baokai had personally said that it was a done deal, none of the experts dared to believe this news. It was too shocking. How many eras had passed? Who would dare to challenge the ultimate refinement ground? Moreover, no one had ever broken through the ultimate refinement ground. But now Baokai told them that Su Yan had passed the test. They didn't believe it at all. In short, this was too shocking. I don't believe it. Someone from the Xian people stood up and said, Maybe Su Yan has been at the top of the mountain all this time. Like Barbarian God, he failed and survived. Old man, you're hurting my heart. Baokai was furious. What did he mean? Someone from the reincarnation imperial family also stood up and shook his head. He said, No one knows whether Su Yan has climbed the mountain or not. But everyone knows that once he has climbed the mountain, he will receive the best training from the immortal cave. Baokai was flustered and exasperated. They were questioning Su Yan, accusing him of lying and deliberately delaying to go down the mountain. I believe that our barbarian god wouldn't lie. Thank you, little brother, for bringing our barbarian god down the mountain. At this moment, an old expert from the savage barbarian imperial family stood up for Su Yan. He couldn't stand the despicable way the Xian people acted when they couldn't see someone rising. Senior, you're the most open-minded and fair one. Baokai bared his teeth and said, You'll know when Barbarian God comes out. Now you're framing my brother. Be careful of being slapped in the face. The experts from the Xian people and other clans all looked gloomy. Was it true? Su Yan had broken the ultimate trial grounds test? Bamboo Moon's hanging heart gradually calmed down. According to her understanding, as long as they could break the trial ground, they would definitely be able to go down the mountain safely. Then it was only a matter of time before Su Yan returned. Months passed by one after another. The third inheritance of the Copper Palace, the 9 Great Palm Prince, perfectly described the ultimate power of the physical body. Su Yan seemed to have experienced life and death 9 times. He was now in a predicament. His mind felt like it had fallen into darkness. I can't do it, I can't do it, Su Yan felt bitter. It had been 9 months. He had studied a palm print inheritance every month. 9 months had passed. Then he had been trapped in the Copper Palace for 2 years and 9 months. In these 9 months, Su Yan pondered the supreme mysteries contained in the palm prints. But he felt that it was too difficult. It wasn't something he could comprehend on his own. Even if there were a few mysteries, he couldn't comprehend it. Despair? Su Yan felt that this was enough to make one despair. How could he comprehend it? The 9 great palm imprints represented 9 supreme mysteries. However, there was no way to comprehend them at all. It wasn't a matter of time. It was like facing a beautiful woman lying on the bed, but you didn't know how to undress or how to explore the mysteries of the human body. Su Yan felt so bad that he wanted to cry. It was too difficult. Time passed by. Su Yan was very anxious. He was really anxious, but he knew that if he continued like this, he wouldn't be able to comprehend it. Even if he was given many years, he wouldn't be able to comprehend it. After all, he wasn't an immortal king. This was a supreme Tao that only immortal kings were qualified to come into contact with. Suddenly, a thought flashed through Su Yan's mind. Since he couldn't comprehend it, he could try another path. The 9 great destructive palm prints floated in Su Yan's sea of consciousness. It was as if the heavens had sunk, pressing down on Su Yan's soul until it trembled. This power, Su Yan let out a dreamlike voice. His body couldn't circulate and activate, but there was a way. Su Yan raised his hand. The heavens and the earth looked very grand. What was one hand of his compared to it? But the heaven and earth looked insignificant in front of a true invincible being. They were like seawater that could be grasped in the palm of one's hand. Boom! Suddenly, Su Yan's body resonated. His body was a little blurry, and it was extremely terrifying. In an instant, Su Yan erupted. A huge figure appeared behind him, looking down on the vast universe with a great aura as if it was looking down on all living things. The flesh and blood Dharma idol was as tall as the heaven and earth. It suddenly moved its palms. The heaven and earth seemed to be rotating in its palms. This was a real world in the palm. It hid the universe, mountains, rivers, and all things in the universe. It was majestic to the extreme. Heavenly palm. Su Yan's soft voice seemed to have attracted a thunderclap. The sealed copper palace suddenly opened. How many eras, how many epochs have I been waiting for someone to say the name of opening the copper palace's seal? I didn't expect it to happen to you. The barefoot farmer exclaimed. It hadn't even been 3 years. He didn't expect Su Yan to comprehend the mysteries of the 9-gate palm prints. He only wanted him to say the supreme mysteries of the palm prints. That's right, this was the heavenly palm. Could move the 3 realms. Chapter 2. Brothers, I'm begging for monthly votes. Chapter 1933. That's it. Su Yan found it hard to calm down. A magical journey had ended just like that. He slowly stood up. His long black hair draped over his shoulders. He recalled the mysteries of the 9 palm print. The supreme inheritance gradually became blurry and disappeared from Su Yan's memory. It was as if it had never appeared and never been obtained. It was like a dream. Gradually, a smile bloomed on Su Yan's face. He did not force it, nor did he visualize it. It was because he had already memorized all the technique. He did not need to deliberately comprehend them. If he deliberately remembered them, then so be it. Don't force it. When the time is right, you will have a great harvest. The barefoot farmer appeared beside Su Yan. This inheritance palm technique contained the supreme mysteries of operating the heavens. All the techniques were hidden between heaven and earth, waiting for Su Yan to explore and discover. I already know. I will cultivate diligently in the future and try to display the mysteries of the Yuntian palm. Su Yan clenched his fist. The inheritance of the Copper Palace was a supreme secret technique. He had only just opened the door to the treasure. It was still a big problem for him to discover it in the future. You are now a registered disciple of the World Mountain. There is no need to be so polite. The barefoot farmer said. May I ask, Senior, what is the World Mountain? Su Yen frowned. May I ask, what is the heaven-splitting faction? Whose orthodoxy and inheritance did I get? I am very confused. I hope Senior can give me an answer. You will know the origin of the World Mountain when you become a disciple of the inheritance. The barefoot farmer reminded Su Yen. The day you master the Yuntian palm is the day you become a disciple of the World Mountain. You only have a key now. How to open the treasure depends on your own efforts. I understand. Su Yen felt it was a pity. He did not ask more. He would not get any answer even if he asked. Moreover, the first mountain would be open for 3 years. Su Yen clasped his hands and said, I still have some things to do. I will go down the mountain first. How will I climb the mountain when I master the Yuntian palm? Why? Are you in a hurry to leave? The barefoot farmer smiled. You have become a registered disciple of the World Mountain. Although you are not a disciple of the inheritance, the World Mountain should give you some treatment. Haha, thank you, Senior. Su Yen was pleasantly surprised. Behind this supreme land of inheritance was an unimaginable, invincible giant. Just some random resources bestowed upon him would definitely be extraordinary. Come with me. The barefoot farmer waved his hand and swung his axe forward, opening up a new spacetime rift. Su Yen was filled with anticipation. What would he gain next? Inheritance? Secret technique? Divine ability? Or perhaps it was something else. After entering the spacetime crack, Su Yen was shocked as he caught the aura of the ancient divine weapon. I didn't expect to be bestowed with treasures. Su Yan's heart palpitated with eagerness. He indeed needed a suitable weapon. In the mysterious world of the ancient lands, there were some treasures lying around. Huge axes appeared one after another. Some were black, some were purple, some were blood red, some were golden. Each of the axes emitted waves of the beginning of the world, as if they were natural treasures. Although he couldn't see how strong they were, the peerless sharpness that leaked out seemed to be able to cut apart the body of an immortal king. Senior, are you giving me all the treasures here? Su Yan's mouth was dry. He felt that any one of the axes was a supreme treasure that could shock the world. You are thinking too much. The barefoot farmer shook his head and laughed. He pointed at the axes and said, All the axes are raised by the creation of the world. There are strong ones and weak ones. In short, choose the most suitable axes for you. The prerequisite is that you can hold them. Hold them? Am I not qualified to hold these treasures? Su Yen didn't believe it and instantly activated the human-shaped puppet. However, what shocked Su Yen was that his physical body was already strong enough. Even the puppet in the Emperor Dao domain couldn't increase his combat strength by much. This also proved that Su Yan's physical body was too strong. The divine power in Su Yan's body boiled, and his strongest combat strength was unsealed. It was wild and tyrannical, and it could easily pierce through the world. This golden axe should be the strongest, right? Su Yan's big hand instantly landed on the golden axe. Who knew that the golden axe would come to life in an instant, and it surged with unparalleled ferocious might. The world split open and a huge crack appeared. It was like plowing through a courtyard, and it was going to split open the universe. The peerless sharpness leaked out, and Su Yan's palm was torn into pieces. His entire body was about to be destroyed. Pfft! Su Yen spat out a big mouthful of blood, and his body flew out horizontally. He fell to the ground, and it took him a long time to get up. What level of treasure is this? He was dumbfounded as he looked at his broken palm. This axe was too domineering. He couldn't even withstand a little bit of the resurrected divine power. Su Yen couldn't even lift it up with all his strength, and he was almost chopped to death. This axe was much more terrifying than the furnace of suppression. It contained an indescribable divine power of heaven and earth. Although it didn't have any order laws, it had supreme heavenly power, the most valuable treasure of the body cultivator lineage. Su Yen concluded that this was a super killing weapon, and he wasn't qualified to wield it. Hurry up, I have to hurry. 3 years' time is almost up. Su Yen quickly recovered from his injuries, and his eyes were burning. This was a rare opportunity, and he had to grasp it. Once he had the super powerful divine axe, he would be like a tiger that had grown wings. He didn't continue to try the other divine axes. These treasures were too frightening, and they could easily destroy him. Even if Su Yen had the power to take them away, he couldn't use them. They were just scrap metal by his side. This axe, at this moment, Su Yan's eyes narrowed, and his gaze fell on an inconspicuous axe. It didn't have any color, and the blade didn't have any sharpness. It was a small stone axe, and it looked as big as a fist. Su Yen inspected the small stone axe. His deep eyes were vaguely filled with dense golden engravings. His observation ability could be said to be terrifying. He could explore the mysteries of the universe and the great treasures of the world. What was this? This was the supreme mysterious pattern diagram that Su Yen had obtained in the Copper Palace after 3 years of bitter cultivation. He immediately saw through the extraordinariness of the small stone axe. The ancient small stone axe was really born and nurtured by the heavens. The simple and unadorned axe head faintly flashed some imprints. Su Yen counted. There were a total of 3 big imprints. They were very ordinary imprints and looked like the simplest martial arts move. Chop, chop, chop. However, under the reflection of Su Yan's eyes, the world changed. The small stone axe surged with a power that could shock the world and make ghosts and gods cry. The 3 imprints were revived, and they cut the moon and split the sky and the sea. It was as if they had cut the universe and divided the world, forming a terrifying spiritual attack. Heaven splitting 3 axes, vaguely, a dull sound exploded. The 3 imprints glowed and turned into a giant god of primal chaos. It waved the small stone axe, and the 3 killing moves seemed simple. But in fact, they turned simplicity into complexity. They condensed the supreme killing intent and evolved the power of the heaven-splitting 3 axes. The barefoot farmer was surprised. He didn't expect Su Yen to recognize the small stone axe, and he could see through the mysteries of the small stone axe. It wasn't just a terrifying treasure, but it also contained an extraordinary divine ability. Su Yan's body stood between heaven and earth. His eyes were closed, and his long black hair danced in the wind. His spiritual will was still in the heavens splitting 3 axes, and his still body gradually moved. He waved his palm according to the martial arts of the heaven splitting 3 axes. It's been almost 3 years, and Su Yen still hasn't come down the mountain? The world was abuzz with discussions. The number 1 mountain under the heavens was about to close, and the 5 masters had reached the peak, but Su Yen still hadn't come down the mountain. Baokai asked anxiously, "Chaos Immortal Elder, when we came here, Su Yen said that he will definitely participate in the Immortal Demon War. Can the closing time be delayed?" The shadow of the Chaos Immortal Elder was ancient and filled with fluctuations that made people's hearts palpitate. He nodded slightly and said, "I know how powerful Su Yen is. He's the main member of the Immortal Demon War. Even if it's delayed for a year, it's not a problem." Baokai was pleasantly surprised and quickly thanked him. The Chaos Immortal Elder also valued Baokai very much, or he wouldn't have bothered to answer. Boom! 3 days later, the time for the first mountain to be closed came. Wave after wave of boundless auras crushed down onto the area. In an instant, everyone trembled as if they had fallen into a land of death. "Who is it?" Baotsai's eyes widened. The power that was emitted was too shocking. It was the Supreme Emperor's might that he had faced back then, but now, the power that was activated was peerless and terrifying. It was much more terrifying than the immortal king that Big Goldie had killed. That was a terrifying figure that was incomparably blazing and brilliant. It was also grand to the extreme, causing the boundless cosmos to darken. It was accompanied by the rumbling of muffled thunder, shocking all of the experts in the world. They felt like a great disaster was about to befall them. Thunder, immortal elder. Someone's voice trembled. The power he emitted contained the light of thunder that could destroy the heavens and the earth. It was as if the apocalypse was pressing down, causing the experts to feel as if they had fallen into a purgatory of thunder. Baokai and the others were near the Chaos Immortal Elder, so they weren't affected, but their expressions weren't good. So it's him. The experts of the myriad sects cried out in surprise and bowed in large numbers. What is he doing here? And at this juncture, Baotsai's expression was uncertain. A great enemy had come to visit. His son, Little Thunder, had been killed by Su Yan. Thunder Immortal Elder's figure crossed the horizon. His appearance was somewhat different from the Tenrai of Beech's heroic appearance. This person was very thin and wore a thunder robe. Silver energy scattered down, vaguely revealing the aura of opening the heavens. Baokai muttered in his heart. Was the Tenrai of Beech really his son? After all, this person's figure was too thin. I didn't expect to alarm Thunder Immortal Elder. The Tenrai of Beech is very extraordinary. His future achievements are limitless. The Chaos Immortal Elder smiled faintly. Chaos Immortal Elder, these words are a bit harsh. My useless son is only ranked second. Thunder Immortal Elder's expression was cold. He was entrenched in the sea of thunder and lightning. The sky was filled with the sound of thunder and lightning, making him look like a supreme thunder and lightning war god. Unfortunately, before my son, the Tenrai of Beech, went, he had just finished his Tao demonstration. Daesong's realm had not touched the peak yet. This sentence caused many experts to be shocked. The Tenrai of Beech was not standing at the peak of the Saint realm. Wasn't this news too shocking? Then if the Tenrai of Beech was standing at the peak of the Saint realm, it was hard to say who would come out on top this time. Grandma Wang praises herself for selling melons. Baokai cursed in his heart. Why didn't she directly say that her son, the Tenrai of Beech, was invincible in the world? He was not inferior to Su Yan at all. Then I really have to congratulate you. The Chaos Immortal Elder's tone was calm. His figure was in the sea of chaos, and his power was not inferior to Thunder Immortal Elder's. He replied, Why did you come all the way here? In short, the two experts looked calm, but in fact, supreme heavenly power surged. Immortal King aura spread, full of destructive immortal Tao power. It shocked all the experts in the world and made them tremble. They did not dare to breathe loudly. Immortal kings were indeed immortal kings. They had absolute combat power and were extremely powerful. They were above all living beings. Chaos Immortal Elder, the great war between immortals and demons is about to begin. It is a major event of the immortal world. In order to prepare for the war, the immortal cave has lost a lot of resources. Thunder Immortal Elder said indifferently, the number 1 mountain in the world has already closed. After all, wasting a day is a great loss to the immortal world. In my opinion, let's seal the mountain now. This old thing. Bamboo Moon was furious. Once the mountain was sealed, Su Yan would stay in the first mountain forever. Chapter 1934. That won't do. Su Yan is still on the mountain. He is one of the main members of the Immortal Demon Great War. Chaos Immortal Elder shook his head slightly, feeling a bit unhappy. After all, he was in charge of opening and maintaining order on the first mountain. Wasn't Thunder Immortal Elder meddling too much? He even wanted to close it immediately according to his wishes? Baotsai's expression changed continuously. Fortunately, Chaos Immortal Elder spoke up for Su Yan. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. Once the first mountain was closed, it would be a nightmare for Su Yan. Thunder Immortal Elder waved his sleeve, and an enormous golden list floated in the air. One after another, brilliant words appeared one after another. These were the names of the top 10 war god. Every single one of them was a glorious figure. It was as if 10 great suns were descending from the sky. Top 10 war gods. The younger generation all paled. There were also girls who screamed, making the atmosphere in this region go berserk to the extreme. They were all glorious figures, representing the pinnacle of immortal world's younger generation. They were going to fight a bloody battle with the strongest overlord of Dark World. Any victor would be a heaven's pride of immortal world, an unrivaled and undefeatable hero. Similarly, once they were on the list, it was enough to prove the strength and apex of the top 10 war god. The entire world was in discussion. They didn't expect that the names had already been decided. It really made them apprehensive. Similarly, the immortal demon Great War was about to start. Time was already extremely limited. Heavenly Dragon Lady actually came out of seclusion. Someone said with a trembling voice, "Seems like Heavenly Dragon Lady is the leading expert of the top 10. The younger generation discussed excitedly. Heavenly Dragon Lady was a peak hero of Immortal World. She had participated in at least 5 or 6 Immortal Demon Great Wars without any defeat. This person's name was only slightly inferior to Emperor Lady's. Once there was this kind of heavyweight leading the team, it was enough to calm the hearts of the people. Moreover, there was Heavenly Tao King, Heavenly Martial King, these types of glorious figures. The next 3 were Tenrai of Beach, Barbarian God, and Tai Baokai. Chaos Immortal Elder's expression was a bit gloomy. He didn't expect Immortal Elder Academy to have already decided the names of the top 10 participants, yet no one informed him? This was a bit too much. This matter is urgent. After all, the Immortal Demon Great War is about to start. Thunder Immortal Elder smiled and said, "I didn't have the time to tell Chaos Immortal Elder. After all, the number 1 mountain under the heavens is of great importance, and order cannot be lost. You will have to bear with it." Thunder Immortal Elder's lineage was extremely ancient. This lineage also controlled the heaven-opening lightning scripture. Their status in the immortal realm was too high, they were on the same level as the Emperor clans. According to rumors, the ancestors of the Tenrai of Beach had once participated in the construction of the Immortal Cave. One could imagine the influence of the Tenrai of Beach in the Cave of the Immortals. It was equivalent to half of the Master of the Cave of the Immortals. Their words carried great weight. Su Yen dominated the first mountain. Why didn't you give him a spot? Baokai was flustered and exasperated. He stood up for Su Yen and asked, "There's still time. Why don't you wait?" "How dare you?" Thunder Immortal Elder was furious. His words rumbled by Baotsai's ears like thunder, crushing it until its entire body trembled, as if it was about to break apart. Big Gold was furious. As soon as it was about to rush over, it was immediately pulled back by Mu Xian. Her forehead was also covered in cold sweat. Big Gold definitely couldn't take action, or else he would be targeted by all the experts in the world. He most likely wouldn't be able to leave the first mountain. Baokai coughed out blood, about to explode. Its eyes were red as it released a low roar. This old thing was bullying others too far. It only spoke a single sentence, yet who would have thought it would be directly suppressed? Thunder Immortal Elder, you are going too far. The Chaos Immortal Elder was shocked and furious. He raised his hand to steady Baotsai's body and shouted, "It only asked a single question. Is there a need to act so viciously? Where is Immortal Elder Academy? The decree has already been passed down. How can a little vicious beast be allowed to criticize us?" Thunder Immortal Elder was extremely dignified. His ancient and imposing figure filled the sea of stars. His voice rang through the mountains, rivers, and great earth, making all souls tremble. The decree is the decree. Who dares to defy and question it? In short, the 10 great quotas have already been decided. Immediately close the number 1 mountain under the heavens to prevent the resources from being wasted. Thunder Immortal Elder carried an unquestionable tone, not giving the Chaos Immortal Elder any face. I do not agree. With Su Yan's potential, we can activate Immortal Elder Academy's emergency plan. The Chaos Immortal Elder shook his head. Chaos Immortal Elder. Thunder Immortal Elder frowned and said, "Let's not talk about whether or not Su Yan actually broke through the ultimate land of refinement. Even if he really did, it will still take a long time before he can leave the mountain. My Immortal Cave's resources have no reason to waste them on someone from the lower realm who didn't participate in the Immortal Devil Great War." Thunder Immortal Elder, your words are going too far. Aren't you scared of disappointing others? The Savage Race's old expert suddenly stood out, creating a huge impact. This was the Savage Race's great elder, Man Longtian. Even though he was already quite old, his declining blood and chi were still surging. Man Longtian was like an old azure dragon. His voice was heavy, making heaven and earth resonate as he said, "It is exactly as you said. Did Su Yan really break through the most powerful land of refinement? This matter is extremely important, but you directly sent my barbarian god to the land of refinement. How are you going to let the Chaos Immortal Elder receive the news immediately?" Motherf ****. Baokai exploded in anger and roared, "No wonder Brother Barbarian God didn't come all this time. He originally came to restrict my freedom. Thunder Immortal Elder, are you scared that Su Yan will steal your son's prestige? You are persecuting Su Yan like this. What exactly are your intentions? Evil creature, you really have guts. This old one cares about the barbarian god, and let him grow in a place of natural luck, so that he can accumulate more resources and seize victory for the immortal world. It is instead this old one's fault." Thunder Immortal Elder was furious. Bone-chilling lightning appeared in his eyes, as if it was shot out from purgatory. Man Longtian wasn't afraid at all. He raised his hand to block the pressure that Baokai was under. He frowned and said, "Tai Baokai is the fourth contestant of the first mountain. Aren't you going a bit too far by oppressing him like this? I was wondering why you were so rude and unreasonable to this old one." Thunder Immortal Elder said coldly and angrily, "So it is because you have some prestige. No wonder you dare to talk back to this old one. Also, you are so anxious to speak up for Su Yan. You should know that once Su Yan leaves the mountain, you will lose the right to participate in the war. Or perhaps you are afraid and don't dare to go to the Immortal Demon battlefield?" Everyone was shocked. They felt that Thunder Immortal Elder's words were somewhat reasonable. After all, participating in the war of immortals and demons was a supreme honor. Who would be willing to refuse? Thunder Immortal Elder. The fifth person to reach the peak of the first mountain walked out. He bowed and said, "This junior is willing to go to the Immortal Demon battlefield in place of Tai Baokai. Even if I die, I will not retreat half a step." "Good, haha, very good." Thunder Immortal Elder was extremely happy. He said with a smile, "You are very good. You are not afraid of death. Very good. The Immortal Demon Great War requires Immortal Realm warriors who are not afraid of death. If you are afraid of going, you will only bring shame to the Immortal Realm." Tai Baokai was so angry that his face turned ashen. This dog had said that he was useless with just a few words, and even labeled him as someone who was greedy for life and afraid of death. This was too vicious. What are you still hesitating for? Even if Su Yan really did break through the ultimate land of refinement and is worthy of Dali's nurturing, you can wait until the next first mountain opens. Thunder Immortal Elder spoke again. Everyone says that the Immortal Elder of the Immortal Academy is impartial. I never thought that because of personal grudges, you would treat Su Yan like this. Bamboo Moon angrily walked out and said, "You say it so casually. Do you know what waiting for the next opening means for Su Yan? You are becoming more and more impudent." Thunder Immortal Elder's expression was slightly gloomy. He shouted, "What does a little girl know? Over the years, all the peerless geniuses of the immortal cave can hibernate and contribute to the immortal world. Why can't Su Yen do the same? I heard that he even rejected the immortal cave's invitation back then. This child is too selfish. I support Thunder Immortal Elder's words. People of the Xian people stood out and said very directly, Su Yen belongs to the human world, not the immortal world. The immortal cave was built by gathering all the resources of the immortal world. There is no reason to waste it for Su Yen. That's right. My reincarnation imperial family also supports it. My Starry Sky imperial family also supports it. Since Su Yen won't participate in the immortal demon war, it shouldn't be a big deal to let him guard the first mountain for a few days, right? After all, once the first mountain is sealed, Su Yen will also be sealed. Wouldn't it be better to just wait for him to come out in the future? Why waste resources to wait for an uncertain person? Members of the imperial family stood out one after another to support Thunder Immortal Elder. This caused a huge commotion. Many people were dumbfounded. This Su Yen was really unlucky. Didn't he provoke too many enemies? Chaos Immortal Elder's expression was ugly. These people were completely forcing him to close the first mountain. Boom! Suddenly, a blazing majestic aura rose from the distant world, shaking the heavens and the starry sky. Extremely ridiculous. The old monkey came and scolded angrily. The resources of the immortal cave were given by all the races in the world. It gathered the most precious resources of all the races in the world. Su Yen broke the ultimate trial ground. How dare you deliberately target him? What are your intentions? Wasting resources? The old monkey was very domineering. He said angrily, "This is the biggest joke in the world. You, Thunder Immortal Elder, personally requested to open the first mountain. Why didn't you say it was a waste of resources at that time?" The Xian people were furious. A damned monkey jumped out. Did he really think that the Heavenly Monkey clan was an imperial family? Thunder Immortal Elder was shocked and angry. He pointed at the Monkey King and scolded, "Good, Heavenly Monkey King. I see that your wings have really hardened. The top 10 contestants have been decided. The resources of the Immortal Cave have also proved that it was not a waste. The first person of the first mountain is one of the strongest contestants selected by opening the first mountain's resources." The old monkey roared and walked over. His terrifying majestic aura made the stars tremble. His words were like divine thunder from the 9 heavens. The strongest contestant broke the ultimate trial ground. What does this mean? I think you've lost your mind. Heaven and earth trembled. The old monkey's battle aura was too strong. His divine might filled every inch of the void, causing many people to tremble. Everyone was shocked. What was the relationship between the old monkey and Su Yen? You impudent! Thunder Immortal Elder's eyes widened in anger. He pointed at him and shouted, "Whether Su Yen broke the ultimate trial ground or not, it's still undetermined." Thunder Immortal Elder, what do you mean by undetermined? In an instant, another terrifying majestic figure walked over. Even though he wasn't an immortal king, his expression and majesty shocked the world. Tao Protector! The nobles all over the world cried out. Many people roared fanatically. The Phoenix King who established the 10 great armies of the immortal world was fully deserving of the title of Peak War God. Back then, he even forcefully slaughtered his way through the 3 realms battlefield, killing 2 great immortal kings of the Dark World. He was fully deserving of the title of Overlord War God. Even though he wasn't an immortal king, his divine might was still there. His influence was still world-shocking. With a wave of his arm, he could cause a huge response in the immortal world. Not only did the Phoenix King come, the barbarian god also came. Su Yen broke the ultimate trial ground. I saw it with my own eyes. The barbarian god spoke in a low and muffled voice. He never thought that such a powerful Ingjie would encounter such unfair treatment. Back then, the first mountain was delayed for an entire 10 years because of the Phoenix Girl, Why couldn't Su Yen do it? He had the qualifications. I suggest that we delay the closing of the first mountain. Barbarian Long Tian laughed as he stood beside the Chaos Immortal Elder. The atmosphere became a bit stifling. Thunder Immortal Elder's expression was uncertain. He never thought that the Phoenix King would bring the barbarian god out. This old man also suggests that the people of the Celestials arrived. Tianyang Bing walked out with a smile. I knew that Su Yen wasn't a fish in a pond. If that's the case, after breaking the ultimate trial ground, he's qualified to stand shoulder to shoulder with the princess and the young emperor. Ridiculous! The people of the Xian people were angry. What right did Su Yen have to stand shoulder to shoulder with the young emperor? Thunder Immortal Elder was even more direct. He said coldly, stand shoulder to shoulder with the princess and the others? Can a puny Su Yen bear the burden? Thump, thump, thump. Suddenly, a series of footsteps reverberated through the surroundings, breaking the silence. Many people were stunned. They saw a young man coming down the mountain from afar. He was playing with a small stone axe in his hand. Chapter 1935. Su Yen had gone down the mountain. As the saying went, it was better to come at the right time than to come early. They didn't know what to say. Some old experts dug their ears. They had worked for nothing. Thunder Immortal Elder had joined forces with some people to force the Chaos Immortal Elder to close the number 1 mountain. He didn't want to give Su Yen a chance to gather. The old monkey and the rest came to support the Chaos Immortal Elder. The two factions were about to fight. But before it started, Su Yen had gone down the mountain. What the F***ck? A young man couldn't hold it in and almost fell to the ground. What was going on? Thunder Immortal Elder, I don't think it has anything to do with you, right? Su Yen's footsteps were light and agile. He did not look like someone with a peerless physical body. Instead, he gave off a feeling of returning to one's natural state. His cold eyes looked at Lei Xianlao. This was the first time Su Yen had seen young Thunder King's father. It had to be said that this old man was exceptionally strong. The lightning robe he wore wasn't simple. The light of destruction sprinkled down, making his thin body look peerless and terrifying. When Su Yen saw that the Monkey King and the Phoenix King had also come, his heart was filled with warmth. There was no need to say it out loud. Su Yen would remember this for life. Also, you and I don't seem to know each other, right? This sentence made Thunder Immortal Elder feel like he was being pricked. There was a fire burning in his heart, causing his aura to be inexplicably terrifying. Although he valued the Tenrai of Beach more, Little Thunder was his son after all. Su Yen killed him and had his head cut off. He died tragically in the Kinconferring battlefield. Shouldn't Su Yen give young Lightning King a way out on account of his relationship with Elder Lei Xian? But he didn't. Even if Little Thunder wasn't his son, to Thunder Immortal Elder, Su Yen didn't know how to behave and wasn't worth nurturing. Thunder Immortal Elder couldn't swallow this anger. A cold light flew out of his eyes. It was as cold as purgatory. Normally, Thunder Immortal Elder would directly suppress Su Yen. But now, who was this person? How could a peak talent of the number 1 mountain be deliberately targeted in front of everyone? Bamboo Moon and the rest felt like they had been entrusted with a heavy burden. Su Yen had finally gone down the mountain. It was just the right time. Is this the so-called equal to the princess? Lei Xianlao suppressed the anger in his heart and said coldly, it's only been 3 years. I remember that the Empress stayed on the mountain for 10 years, right? The Phoenix King wanted to know what Su Yen had obtained from the number 1 mountain. There were great secrets and secrets on Mount Shanshan. He's very young, beyond my imagination. The old experts of the various clans stared at Su Yen with burning eyes. How powerful was this person's potential? The Tenrai of Beach was the peak talent of the Immortal Cave. Even this person was suppressed. One could imagine how strong the physical body of the true dragon from the human world was. If it weren't for the fact that they were wary of the various forces of the Immortal Clan, The various great sects would fight to bring Su Yan into their sect and give him enormous resources to nurture. Perhaps he would have the chance to step into the immortal king realm in the future. This little guy has really matured. The members of the reincarnation tribe looked gloomy. They felt that Su Yan was unfathomable. He was completely different from when he had no one to rely on in the royal city. Su Yan's reputation was too shocking. He dominated the #1 mountain and looked down on the world. He even broke through the ultimate trial and reached the peak. He only went down the mountain after 3 years. Although he didn't take as long as the princess and the others, Su Yan was already peerless and terrifying. He was no longer the unknown small figure from before. The experts of the Xian people looked cold. This person's potential was really unknown now. Killing intent rose and fell in their hearts. I thought the Thunder Immortal Elder was going to compare me with the Tenrai of Beach. I didn't expect him to bring up the princess. Su Yan snorted. What a surprise. Su Yan, watch your words. Some people couldn't stand it anymore. Yes, the 5th contestant who had ascended the first mountain stood out and pointed at Su Yan, reprimanding him. What kind of person is Lei Xian Lao? Even after meeting him, you still have to bow and greet him. Instead, you speak sarcastically. What does this have to do with you? A cold glint flashed in Su Yan's eyes. He cast a sidelong glance at the tall man who was closing in on him and shouted, "Go away." How arrogant! An extremely turbulent aura burst out. The tall man roared and his aura changed completely. It was as if he had turned into an innate god, filled with the majestic aura of a strong expert. Especially the blood essence in his body, it covered the heaven and earth and was extremely turbulent. The saints shuddered, they didn't dare to look at the man in the eyes. His blood essence was too vigorous and turbulent. As expected of the king of the ancient celestial demon race. Is he the next heavenly demon king? Someone exclaimed. One must know that the heavenly demon king and heavenly saint king were the same level of supreme overlords. They were the strongest war gods in the celestial world. The monkey king's face turned ugly. His race only had one heavenly saint king. But now the ancient celestial demon race had another peak talent. After all, the ancient celestial demon race had great talents and powerful bodies. There were very few races that could compete with them. Demon Feather was extremely domineering. He stared at Su Yan coldly and said, "Don't think that you can rule the world just because you are the first one to climb the mountain." The Tenrai of Beach was not the peak of Daesong when he climbed the mountain. Just because his body is strong, it doesn't mean that he is invincible. Demon Feather's words were exactly what Lei Xian Lao was thinking. "Since you are questioning me," Su Yan waved his hand and said, "Come, let me see if you are questioning my strength." Many gasped. Was he going to start a war? Ha 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 ha. Demon Feather laughed. He didn't believe that a human from the mortal world could have so many secret arts. They were both from the ancient celestial demon race. His body was strong and he even had some terrifying body arts. How could he be afraid of Su Yan? Of course, the reason why he was targeting Su Yan was mainly because of the Monkey King. After all, the two races had been fighting for a long time. Lei Xian Lao. Demon Feather said with a fanatical tone, "If I can beat Su Yan, can I participate in the great war of celestials and demons?" Of course. Lei Xian Lao was full of respect for Demon Feather. He was naturally full of smiles. Bamboo Moon asked, "You just said that the ranking was set. Why are you saying it's okay now?" Lei Xian Lao said calmly, "If Demon Feather beats Su Yan, it means that Demon Feather is stronger and more powerful. Of course, we can make an exception. Then what if Su Yan wins? Can he participate in the ranking?" Mu Xin was angry. This old thing was too much. Su Yan's eyes were like knives. The ranking was already set. This really surprised him. What does a little girl like you know? Lei Xian Lao stared at her and scolded. Moreover, this battle. Before this person could finish his words, the Phoenix King's killing intent filled the air. His entire person changed completely. With a single thought, he could slaughter millions and millions of lives. Beneath his feet were mountains of corpses and seas of blood. Even the corpses of immortal kings could be seen, his vicious aura boundless. Even the sky was torn apart. A blood-colored world appeared and an extremely powerful aura was released. Everyone trembled and couldn't help but bow down in worship. What kind of killing intent was this? What kind of belief was this? It was too terrifying. It was extremely powerful and domineering. Even the sky was trembling and the stars in the sky were crying out. Although Phoenix King wasn't the Phoenix King of the past, who dared to erase his achievements, who dared to blaspheme his dignity. He once killed a dark world celestial king. His mind was like purgatory as he shouted angrily, "Lei Xian Lao, my granddaughter is not someone you can scold. Little girl?" The sky was filled with rage. Lei Xian Lao felt a chill in his heart as he said angrily, "Phoenix King, are you going to use force against me?" "Why not?" Phoenix King took out the Emperor token. This made Lei Xian Lao's face turn black. Back then, Jail King was defeated, so how could he not? He knew that although Lei Xian Lao was stronger than Jail King, he knew what taking out the Emperor token meant. It was the appearance of Emperor Dao laws. First Mountain is a place of peace. You can't use force. Chaos Celestial Elder walked out and gave Lei Xian Lao a way out. He said, "We are all a bunch of old bones. Let's just watch the younger generation fight. Demon Godfeather, since you want to challenge Su Yan, then hurry up." Su Yan had already made his move. Did he already set the rankings? This infuriated Su Yan. Monkey King transmitted his voice to tell him not to show mercy. "Come over." Su Yan was furious too. He pointed at Demon God Feather. "It's you. Don't be arrogant." Demon God Feather roared angrily. His aura instantly surged. Black ripples rushed out of his mouth and nose, containing millions of demon god runes burning fiercely. A terrifying dark tide rose, almost extinguishing the stars in the sky. One could imagine how earth-shattering the power was. Demon God Roar, the primordial demon god clan's greatest ability. Many people were stunned. They didn't expect him to release his peak combat power as soon as he made his move. The sky was filled with demon god tide. As millions of runes burned, millions of demon gods rushed out of the underworld sea and pounced on Su Yan. Su Yan was very direct. He formed a fist seal with his palm and faced the power of the demon god Roar head-on. "Kill!" Demon God Feather roared. Millions of blurry demon gods blazed. With his roar, this space and time exploded. A large number of experts trembled and flew out. Their hair was disheveled, and their bones were about to fall apart. This power was too abnormal. But on the other hand, Su Yan's fist was still punching forward. Many people exclaimed. This fist seal looked ordinary. What gave Su Yan the confidence to not change his move? He didn't use any great ability. Only Thunder Immortal Elder and the others could see that Su Yan's fist seemed calm, but it contained the principles of heaven and earth. It vaguely became countless times more majestic. The power it released was too shocking. It was as if an emperor's fist was coming. Boom. Just this punch alone destroyed heaven and earth. The demon gods in the sky trembled and exploded into energy ashes. Su Yan's strength was unparalleled. His black hair danced in the wind. The fist he swung was as terrifying as a cosmic star. The scene that appeared in Demon God Feather's eyes was cruel. He saw a Daesong fist suppressing the demon gods and becoming the only god of war in the world. Kill! Su Yan let out a loud roar. Heaven and earth were shaken apart. The demon god Feather was forced back. The hard ground was cracked. It was obvious how strong the impact was. What? The surroundings were in an uproar. Demon God Feather was directly pushed back. Many people were also excited. This was the Heaven's equal Saint King who dominated the first mountain. He was too powerful. Was his body invincible? Demon God Feather. An expert of the primordial demon race walked out with a gloomy face. What are you waiting for? This concerned the race's reputation. Even if Demon God Feather couldn't defeat Su Yen, he had to fight for tens of thousands of rounds. You ask him if he can still do it? Su Yen stood with his hands behind his back. His long black hair draped over his shoulders. He turned into a demon god who illuminated heaven and earth, looking down at the vast universe. Su Yen, don't be too arrogant. Come fight me if you die. I'll beat you up. Demon God Feather's veins were bulging. He was ashamed and angry. He swore to suppress Su Yen even if he had to risk his life. He endured his injuries and let out a low roar. He erupted with an even more intense and vast aura of vitality. He wanted to kill his way out and fight Su Yen. But the stronger he channeled, the greater the burden on his body. The pain and suffocation made him want to vomit. In the end, he couldn't hold it in. He felt dizzy and fell to the ground with a plop, spitting out large mouthfuls of blood. He didn't know where his injuries were. He only felt that his entire body was about to disintegrate. It was too painful. It was as if he had suffered a fatal blow. His whole body was covered in cracks. Chapter 1936. Demonic Feather. The experts from the primordial Godfiend clan, were shocked when they saw the young Overlord's body crack open. Blood gushed out and dyed the ground red. Many people were stunned. What was going on? Was he seriously injured with one punch? Some people looked at Su Yen with completely different expressions. This was Su Yen, the Overlord of the First Mountain. Indeed, the ranking was real. The gap was huge. Elder Lei Xian's face was ugly. What was going on? He couldn't even take one punch. He felt his face burning. This was a slap to his face. But does reaching the First Mountain make one a peerless genius? Someone was stunned, feeling that this scene was too fake. Otherwise, Demonic Feather spent too much time. Someone shook his head and whispered, "Only those who reached it in the first 3 months are qualified. Apart from Su Yen, the Tenrai of Beach, the barbarian god, Demonic Feather, and Tai Baokai can't be considered qualified." After all, Demonic Feather spent the shortest amount of time. He thought that Su Yen only had a superb physical body and didn't have a series of peak foundations. Who knew that he would be at a disadvantage because he underestimated his opponent and couldn't even get up now. Su Yen, you're too heavy-handed. You should stop when you're in the same generation. Xingpingzi of the Starry Sky Emperor clan stepped out. Su Yen had seen this fake immortal king before. He even wanted to occupy the capital and kill him. Ridiculous, he provoked me first, Su Yen said sarcastically. I thought he was a powerful expert. Who knew he's so useless? Xingpingzi's eyes flashed with coldness. This brat's sharpness was too strong. He was a fake immortal king. Demonic Feather was almost driven crazy by these words, but this caused his injuries to worsen. The experts of the primordial Godfiend clan also lost face. They would only be pointed at by others if they stayed here, so they simply left with Demonic Feather. Seems like you've obtained the inheritance of the First Mountain, Xingpingzi suddenly asked. Many people were shocked. Was there really an inheritance on the First Mountain? They all wanted to know immediately. If Su Yen really did obtain it, it would be a huge event that would shake the immortal world. It's none of your business. Su Yan's lips curled up in a cold smile. This caused Xingpingzi's expression to turn even colder as he said, Su Yen, I'm asking you a serious question. The First Mountain is a precious treasure of the immortal world. You should be clear about this. Even if you can't obtain it, it doesn't mean that others can't either. You can't hide it for selfish reasons. If we can uncover the secrets of the First Mountain, it would be a blessing for the entire immortal world. Mu Xian was furious. This person was too detestable. What did what Su Yen obtained have to do with him? He actually brought up the immortal realm. I've heard that the Starry Sky Monarch race's Thousand Star Fist is the strongest monarch horoscope of the Starry Sky Monarch race. This junior would also like to observe it. Su Yan asked, I wonder if it's possible to share it with the world? Cultivate and increase the overall strength of the immortal realm. The people around him were completely silent. Some people felt that this person was most likely a lunatic. How could he say such a thing? Some people sneered secretly. The Starry Sky monarch race was too impatient. However, how could the current Su Yan be so easily bullied? The combat strength that he displayed just now was enough to prove that Su Yan was a pinnacle talent. Su Yan, you're too unruly. No matter what, Xing Pingze is still a quasi-immortal king. The Thunder Immortal Elder reprimanded. The first mountain is a treasure shared by the immortal world. He didn't force you to hand over what you obtained just now. He just wants to clarify some things. Why do you have to hide such things? Thunder Immortal Elder. Su Yan glanced sideways and asked, Didn't you say that I'm like the Empress? Since the Empress has stayed on the first mountain for 10 whole years, and I've only been here for 3 years, why don't you ask the Empress? Instead, you ask me. Junior, you're so rude and unreasonable. The Thunder Immortal Elder's face was ashen. If it weren't for the Chaos Immortal Elders and the others, he would have directly suppressed Su Yan and searched his primordial spirit's memories. There was a lot of discussion around. The Empress definitely knew more than Su Yan. Why didn't he ask her? Tianyang Bing smiled bitterly. The Empress didn't obtain anything, and a part of her memory was cut off. The Thunder Immortal Elder and the others knew about this. How is it that I'm being unreasonable? Thunder Immortal Elder, you're making things difficult for me. Su Yan smiled coldly and said, Even if I really obtained something on the mountain, why should I tell you? You're too presumptuous. Su Yan, you're too selfish. You're not worthy of being nurtured by the immortal cave. The Thunder Immortal Elder finally used his trump card to force Su Yan to lower his head and explain the matter clearly. This was because he could vaguely see that Su Yan's physical body had reached a very shocking level. Back then, the Empress and the others had also explored the first mountain. Although they didn't obtain anything, their physical body attainments had soared to a whole new level after leaving the mountain. Could it be that Su Yan had also obtained a similar opportunity? One had to understand that the path of body cultivation was about to be cut off in the immortal world. Right now, very few people attempted to walk the path of body cultivation. Even if the immortal cave had a group of peak talents, it was still very difficult to cross over. Sorry, I really don't have any interest in the immortal cave. Su Yan walked up to the Primal Chaos Immortal Elder's side and said respectfully, Senior, does this junior have the qualifications to participate in the great battle of immortal and devil? Whether you participate or not is really hard to say. The Thunder Immortal Elder was furious. The people in the surroundings were also alarmed. Su Yan really didn't prepare to enter the immortal cave to further his studies? Did he know what kind of opportunity he was missing? Some people wanted to fight for justice for Su Yan. He was already so strong, could it be that he couldn't participate? Thunder Immortal Elder. The Monkey King's temper was explosive. He said coldly and angrily, Even though you are the third Immortal Elder of Immortal Academy has already issued a document. Right now, Su Yan has already left the mountain. It is just like you said just now. He, a demonic feather, can break the rules, but Su Yan can't. This matter needs to be discussed at length. The Thunder Immortal Elder said coldly. This made the old monkey extremely angry. The fire was already burning his eyebrows, yet he was still acting like a bureaucrat. The Phoenix King couldn't be bothered to see the Thunder Immortal Elder continue to put on airs. He just wanted to see Su Yan admit defeat and bow before him. This was the Thunder Immortal Elder's style. He always felt that this bloodline was half the master of the immortal cave. However, in this world, how could there be so many soft bones? Heavenly Monkey King, calm down. I will propose to Immortal Academy to reselect the participants. There is still plenty of time before the great battle of immortal and devil begins, so there is no need to rush. The Phoenix King was the Tao protector of King City, so he had the qualifications to reconvene the meeting. You are right. The Heavenly Monkey King's words were like a great bell. If Su Yen doesn't have the qualifications to participate in the great battle of immortal and devil, I think the Tenrai of Beach and the others should all stand to the side. The Thunder Immortal Elder's expression was cold. He didn't expect the old monkey to help Su Yen. Moreover, there were also the Savage Race, Heaven Race, and Chaos Immortal Elders. What was also depressing was that Su Yen would leave the mountain before the first mountain closed. The Thunder Immortal Elder's heart was hazy. In the past, those who left the mountain after the trial all stayed on the mountain for 10 years. Then why was Su Yen an exception, leaving after 3 years? Oh right, Chaos Immortal Elder. The Phoenix King asked with a smile. Su Yen isn't going to Immortal Cave. Does he have 1,000,000 points? This opportunity made the Xian people anxious. 1,000,000 points. Could it be that they were going to fall into Su Yan's hands? This was the strongest reward, and it was also targeted at the first place. As for the Tenrai of Beach and the others, they didn't even get 1,000,000 points, only 300,000. The Immortal Elder won't force anyone to join the Immortal Cave. Su Yan's 1,000,000 points won't be a small amount. The Thunder Immortal Elder looked at Su Yen and continued, although you don't want to become a disciple of the Immortal Cave, the Immortal Demon War is about to start. You are qualified to cultivate in any resource area in the Immortal Cave. You can be treated as the strongest seed for a period of time. Thank you, Chaos Immortal Elder. Su Yen laughed and thanked him. The Xian people were furious. Their eyes were like red lanterns. What did the Chaos Immortal Elder mean? Didn't he see that the Thunder Immortal Elder was so angry that his nose was almost crooked? He was about to explode and kill. For the Thunder Immortal Elder, even if the Chaos Immortal Elder really wanted to give him the points, shouldn't he greet him first? He was still alive and standing here. He wasn't dead yet. In fact, the reason why the Chaos Immortal Elder gave Su Yen the green light was because of the Phoenix King's sworn brother. Moreover, this was the treatment that Su Yen deserved. They wouldn't dare to say anything. The Xian people had already expressed their support for the Thunder Immortal Elder. They definitely wouldn't stand out now. Otherwise, they would really anger the Chaos Immortal Elder. Alright, it's time for the first mountain to close. The Chaos Immortal Elder's body soared to the top of the sky. He released a powerful primordial spirit wave to chase away the cultivators who were still trying to break through. The world was filled with whales. 3 years had passed. 99% of them didn't have the right to become a disciple of the Immortal Cave's outer region. Let's go, the Phoenix King and the others also set off. The Imperial City was huge. It was far beyond Su Yan's imagination. It was 100 times more majestic than the royal city. Baokai was dumbfounded. How majestic was this city? It was a magnificent city. All the saints seemed insignificant before the imperial city. They were like ants looking up at the sky. Moreover, the entire city was shrouded in boundless pressure. It was vast and boundless, and even someone as powerful as Su Yen felt reverence in his heart. This city was too extraordinary. Even immortal kings didn't dare to underestimate it. Celestial bodies, huge mountains, human-shaped imprints on the ancient city walls, there were stars in the universe and huge mountains. There were also human-shaped imprints. They were faintly rippling with Supreme Emperor aura. No wonder it was called the Imperial City. It was because there were endless Emperor Dao laws. He stood outside the 10 Great Battlefield. Once the 10 Great Battlefields were destroyed, the Imperial City would become the strongest protection of the immortal world. What's this stone tablet? In the direction of the majestic Imperial City, there was a huge stone tablet erected. There were some words on the stone tablet. No one knew when they were left behind. They were already extremely dim. The Imperial Bestowment Stone Tablet. The Phoenix King's words were shocking. Baokai and the others were shocked. Imperial bestowment in one battle? Su Yan's eyes shone brightly as he looked at the stone tablet that towered into the sky. That's right. Barbarian Longtian of the ancient barbarian tribe said in an old voice, a young war god of my tribe opened the imperial bestowment battlefield. He lasted for 3 days and 3 nights and failed. It's already very extraordinary. The Phoenix King sighed. The most amazing existence in history only lasted for 7 days and 7 nights. Barbarian Longtian shook his head. He knew that the young emperor of the Xian people had lasted for 7 days and 7 nights. However, the people of the world had given face to the Xian people and the young emperor. There weren't any extraordinary emperor Dao geniuses participating. Of course, the young emperor's strength was undeniable. It could only be said that it was too difficult to become an imperial bestowment in one battle. Back then, the young war god of the ancient barbarian tribe had returned from the first mountain. After many years of silence, he opened the imperial bestowment battlefield in one battle. He fought for 3 days and 3 nights and ended in failure. He had said that perhaps in the future there would be a powerhouse who could rule the world. How long can one last to become an imperial bestowment battlefield in one battle? Mu Xian was curious. 9 days and 9 nights. Barbarian god scratched his head and muttered, 9 days and 9 nights, fighting all the emperors of the immortal world. One can become an imperial bestowment battlefield in one battle. Baokai was dumbfounded. This was a challenge that was impossible to complete. Even the unrivaled war god who dominated the world had a chance? Challenging all the emperors of the immortal world, who set this ridiculous condition? Is there a limit? Mu Xian asked. At most 100,000 people. Mu Xian curled her lips. Not to mention 100,000 people, with 10,000 emperors resonating with god power, who could handle it? At that moment, Elder Lei Xian and the others were returning to the imperial city. When they bumped into Su Yan and the others, their expressions turned cold. He noticed that a bunch of youngsters were looking at the stone tablet. He shook his head and laughed coldly. A bunch of lower world phoenixes wanted to become an imperial bestowment battlefield in one battle? Chapter 1937. Becoming an emperor after a battle in Emperor City, bestowing the title of emperor. This was the highest honor and recognition for the younger generation. But similarly, after a long time had passed, no one in celestial world had ever completed the test of becoming an emperor. Thus, this was only a myth, a legend. As time passed, no one dared to enter the monarch battlefield again. Su Yan, I need to make a trip back to my family. When I return, I will have a good exchange of pointers with you. Barbarian God's body was extremely tall and sturdy. Compared to when he explored the ultimate land of refinement, his improvement was not small. Even though he failed in the end, his gains were great. He prepared to return to his family to further his studies. Su Yan sent him off, at the same time giving him his blessings. Phoenix King, Heavenly Monkey King, I will take my leave first. I will wait for your good news. Barbarian Dragon Sky was filled with anticipation. His family had already decided to open the ancestral land and let the new barbarian god explore it. Before leaving, he patted Su Yan's shoulder with his thick and heavy hand. He thought highly of this person. Once he participated in the great battle of immortals and demons, he would definitely be one of the main members. Emperor City was the #1 city in Celestial World. This city had a super realm crossing formation that allowed one to travel between different places in a short period of time. So this is Emperor City. The energy here is too rich, even richer than King City. Baokai was extremely shocked. The huge city was grand, belonging to the core region of Celestial World. The heaven and earth energy was so rich that it almost couldn't be dispersed. Under normal circumstances, entering Emperor City would require strict inspection, but Phoenix King and the Old Monkey were both mighty and matchless experts, so they could be said to be unimpeded. If there is no super-powerful heaven and earth energy, how can it support so many celestial kings? The old monkey said softly. There were many celestial kings in Emperor City. Moreover, the celestial cave was also within Emperor City. Thus, without a super-powerful environment, there was no way to maintain Emperor City's operation. For celestial kings, even ordinary ancient realms couldn't satisfy their daily cultivation. The amount of energy released every day was shocking. Thus, below Emperor City, there were dragon veins one after another, releasing vast energy essence all day long. The 10 great battlefields are in front of Emperor City. I haven't seen East Demon in a long time. I wonder if he is doing well? First Mountain also didn't come to participate. Walking on the huge street that stretched as far as the eye could see, the cultivators along the way were all emperors and titled emperors. Very clearly, this was the true core of the celestial world. It was bustling and prosperous, a place where experts gathered. Within this city, even the members of the emperor clans had to exercise restraint, or else they might provoke old monsters if they weren't careful. To immortal kings, they had a long lifespan. Even the peak taboo overlords were extremely powerful. No matter how powerful Su Yen and the others were, they were still nothing in the face of taboo overlords. Bamboo Moon was a little envious. When did the mysterious yellow universe reach such a level? Soon, she sighed faintly in her heart. The ancient celestial court was at its strongest. She believed that it was not inferior to the imperial city. The former prosperity and glory would require Su Yan's generation to fight for it. Only by becoming a pillar in the future would they be able to lead the race to a new height. Baokai and the others were very silent. They had witnessed the glory of the imperial city, the peak of the celestial world. It would be a lie to say that they were not envious. But at the same time, their hearts were filled with desire and fighting spirit. Even if they were envious of the imperial city, they would not submit. They believed that the mysterious yellow universe could also become a giant like the celestial world in the future. No matter what realm they stood in the future, the mysterious yellow universe was their root. Su Yen, what did you get on the mountain? The Phoenix King couldn't help but ask. These years, Mu Xian had changed too much. He was greatly shocked after personally inspecting her. Mu Xian was about to surpass the children he was proud of. The old monkey's expression was dignified. It emitted a powerful pressure that covered heaven and earth to prevent others from eavesdropping. Baotsai's expression was strange. They were too careful and cautious. But when he thought about how this was the imperial city, he felt relieved. After all, there were many terrifying old monsters in this city. The monsters were hibernating. This was related to the fortune of the first mountain, so they couldn't be careless. Fortune, unknown inheritance, too great of an origin. I feel that the waters are deeper than the emperor clans. Su Yen didn't hide anything. He spent 3 years to break through the test and become a nominal disciple of the World Mountain. The old monkey and the Phoenix King looked at each other. Shock flashed in their eyes. This news was a bit shocking. Someone as powerful as Su Yen was just a nominal disciple. Even the inheritance he obtained was something that people like the Empress failed to obtain. What kind of problem did this mean? The Phoenix King and the old monkey became more and more serious. This matter couldn't be leaked out. Otherwise, it would be a disaster for Su Yen. Even if Su Yen was born in the Emperor clans, it would be difficult to keep this a secret. One had to know that the Empress and the others stayed on the mountain for 10 years before coming down. This caused a huge storm. All the Emperor clans gathered in the Celestial clan, wanting to thoroughly understand what she obtained. Wasn't the Celestial clan terrifying and glorious enough? But once it was related to the top secret realm of the celestial world, the Emperor clans couldn't sit still at all. Inheritance, heaven-splitting lineage. The Phoenix King was moved. Could it be that the inheritance of the first mountain could be traced back to the origin of the celestial world? Su Yen, Is it very difficult to use the absolute art? The old monkey was more concerned about when Su Yen would become an inheritance disciple. This way, they could also understand the origins of the world mountain. Su Yen was silent for a while. He shook his head and said, "It's not easy. With Daesong's realm, there's almost no hope of using it. Maybe the Emperor Dao domain can be used. This secret inheritance involves the supreme mysteries of the human body. This junior really doesn't know. The inheritance of the body cultivator lineage is almost gone. It's declining more and more." The old monkey sighed. "All right, we won't ask any more questions. This matter must be kept a secret and not a single word can be leaked. Go to the cave of the immortals. Su Yen, you must make good use of your 1,000,000 points. In the next period of time, you must prepare for everything. The great immortal demon war is about to begin." The Phoenix King and the old monkey's mood became lively. Su Yen might really have hope. He could win 3 out of 3 battles in the immortal demon battlefield. At that time, he could open the strongest place of fortune in the Emperor City and walk on the shortcut to Immortal King Realm. Before they left, Su Yen handed them 2 sealed jade bottles and left. He was also looking forward to what he could exchange for with 1,000,000 points. As for the Baokai, it was already very excited. It had asked some people in the Immortal Cave before. Not to mention 1,000,000 points, 100,000 points was already a huge amount. "What's this?" The old monkey was shocked. The moment it opened the jade bottle, it felt as if the universe sea was gushing out. This made its expression change. It was as if it saw the condensed universe of the immortal world flowing in the jade bottle. The Phoenix King smiled bitterly. This group of children is really thoughtful. Both it and the old monkey needed this item. The universe treasure liquid could nourish the declining chi and blood, allowing the Monkey King to return to his peak. For the Phoenix King, it could completely heal his injuries. There was also a great hope of recovering the lost fruit of Tao. "Monkey King, do you think this is the Lost Stone King of the Reincarnation tribe?" The Phoenix King suddenly asked. "Don't make wild guesses. Let's go." The old monkey was a little speechless. It was hard to imagine that the fall of the celestial tyrant emperor had anything to do with Su Yen. The fall of the celestial tyrant emperor had a great impact on the upper echelons of the immortal world. On the contrary, the impact on the mainstays was not that great. Without becoming an immortal king, one would never know how strong an emperor was, especially when the celestial tyrant emperor was the previous emperor of the reincarnation tribe. "This is the immortal cave." They walked in the imperial city for a whole day and only crossed 3 streets. So how big was the imperial city? Some people said that even an immortal king would find it difficult to cross the entire imperial city in a short time. This city was a little too big. The streets where the immortal cave was located were sparsely populated. Su Yen looked up at the sky and opened his heavenly eye. Looking into the distance, what came into view was a universe black hole with no end. The black hole was too big. This was the only way to the immortal cave. There were a series of experts patrolling and guarding, each of them the strongest of experts. Su Yen walked forward and took out the token given to him by the Chaos Immortal Elder. This was the symbol of his identity. "You're the equal of Heaven's Sage King, Su Yen?" The group of guards' expressions changed drastically as they stared at him without blinking. Who didn't know that the Overlord of the First Mountain was the equal of Heaven's Sage King from the human world? "Fellow Taoists, I'm Su Yen. I'm going to the Immortal Cave." Su Yen nodded slightly, causing the guards to be extremely shocked. Su Yen was the sole champion of the First Mountain. Even the powerful Tenrai of Beach was suppressed. He could directly become the peerless genius of the Immortal Cave. "Please." The group of guards had solemn expressions as they worked together to open a passage. The black hole that could devour all life in the universe changed. Vast laws of order rose, so grand that it could swallow the heavens and the ages. "Cave within a cave," Su Yen whispered. Even someone as powerful as him couldn't see how the cave within a cave was built. The darkness in the sky changed, and a corner of mountains and rivers gradually appeared, majestic and magnificent. The immortal cave was above the imperial city. It seemed to be located at the peak of the immortal world. The stars moved, and time and space disappeared. In a short time, they seemed to have crossed the boundless starry sky and traveled to the end of the immortal world. Su Yen was surprised. The immortal cave was indeed the immortal cave. Just the way it was built was intertwined with Emperor Dao laws. Moreover, during the process of entering the immortal cave, at least a few dozen terrifying divine consciousnesses were probing Su Yen and the others. So careful. Did someone sneak into the immortal cave before? Baokai was shocked. Fortunately, Big Goldie was hiding in the furnace of suppression. Moreover, Mu Xian was the descendant of the Phoenix King. She was qualified to enter the immortal cave. Even if she wanted to cultivate in the immortal cave for a period of time, she was qualified. The brilliant light of the great Tao filled the sky. Su Yan's aura was sacred and dignified as he bathed in the light of the great Tao of heaven and earth. The moment he stepped into the immortal cave, he felt as if he had fallen into the immemorial immortal ground. The aura that rushed at him was so majestic that it covered his body and mind. The rivers and mountains here were too magnificent. Clouds rose between the mountains and the terrain connected to each other. They were all places with hidden dragons and crouching tigers. It gave off a spiritual pressure. Without a doubt, cultivating and furthering one's studies here could broaden one's mind for a short period of time. No wonder Xian Jing and the others were so arrogant. Living in the immortal cave for a period of time could really change one's mentality. Moreover, this was only the outer region. Su Yen, look. Which one is the equal heaven sage king? What? Didn't they say he went to the first mountain's ultimate training ground and died there? I don't know. He actually came down the mountain alive. Is he going to become the strongest seed of the immortal cave? What kind of joke is this? No matter how strong the geniuses of the mortal world are, they can't invite a wolf into their house and let him learn our immortal cave's supreme inherited secret arts. Someone immediately retorted. Then, he noticed Bamboo Moon and the other stunning beauties. His eyes immediately became hot. He lowered his voice and said, "These beauties from the lower realm are not bad. If I were the master of the immortal cave, I would directly drive Su Yen and the others out and let the women stay." Some people agreed with his words, expressing their agreement with his opinion. Right now, Su Yan's reputation was too great. Now that he had just arrived at the immortal cave, he immediately caused a huge commotion. A large number of elites from the immortal cave rushed over. However, there were also people who sneered inwardly. For someone from the lower realm, no matter how powerful his talent was, they couldn't let him enjoy the treatment of being the strongest seed. Otherwise, wouldn't the immortal cave's supreme inheritance fall into the hands of the mortal world? Chapter 1938. The Overlord of the First Mountain, Su Yen, had arrived. The outer regions of the Immortal's Cave were in an uproar. Large groups of Ingjia from various races rushed over. None of them were weak and had outstanding achievements in their respective field. Otherwise, how could they have the qualifications to come to the Immortal's Cave? Even the powerful existences in the core region rushed over. Each of them possessed divine might and heaven-defying methods. They stared at Su Yen with dissatisfaction and hostility in their hearts. The first mountain of the immortal world was the strongest gathering of the younger generation of the immortal world. Geniuses from all over the world gathered to challenge the mountain and reach the pinnacle. A young man from the lower realm actually emitted such brilliance and trampled on the Tenrai of Beach. This caused many core seeds of the Immortal's Cave to be dissatisfied and angry. They felt that this was a blasphemy to the immortal world's reputation. Su Yan's expression was calm. Many people were staring at him with intense hostility. He was not surprised. Before he came, the old monkey had told Su Yen that in the Immortal's Cave, Whoever had the hardest fist was the king. He had always acted by the principle of not offending others if they did not offend him. However, if the overlords of the Immortals' Cave challenged him, Su Yen would not avoid the battle. Seems like there will be a big battle. Let's see how many people don't believe me. Baokai snorted. Some people nearby were eyeing them covetously, but their auras were not weak. This group of people was about to make a move on them. Wait a moment. A genius with considerable prestige in the core region raised his hand and said in a low voice, "This kid climbed to the top of the first mountain and cannot be underestimated. I have already invited the Tiangang King." You were actually invited by the Tiangang King. Haha, this is going to be a good show. This kid's brilliance is too great. Let him know that in the immortal world, even a powerful dragon has to lie down. They were greatly shaken. The Tiangang King was very famous in the Immortals' Cave. He had even climbed to the top of the first mountain before. This person's physical strength was said to be not inferior to the Sky Force King. It had to be said that the Immortal Cave was a place of hidden dragons and crouching tigers. Many Yingjie with brilliant battle records were hibernating in the core area. Every one of them was a legend. Su Yen, Baokai, Bamboo Moon, Zixia, Mu Xen. At this time, a stunning woman floated over. Her temperament was pure and holy. Her snow-white dress fluttered in the wind, and a stunning smile bloomed on her beautiful face. The Saintess Taishang had arrived. She walked gracefully, and her skin was snow-white and slender. She was very elegant and peerless. As soon as she appeared, she caused quite a commotion. She was a seed who had just joined the outer region of the Immortals' Cave. The Grand Saintess was as beautiful as a fairy. She was known as the most beautiful woman in the undying heavenly domain. When she first arrived at the Cave of the Immortal, she was named as one of the 10 beauties of the Cave of the Immortal. She had many suitors. Moreover, she had the innate Tao body. Her future was limitless. What's the situation? Some people's faces turned ugly. The Saintess Taishang was too enthusiastic. They had never been welcomed like this before, and it was inevitable that they were unhappy. Of course, these people didn't know that the Saintess Taishang and Su Yen came from the mortal world. They all thought that she was a saintess of the immortal Tao. The saintess' popularity is really explosive. Su Yen teased, "Seems like you have countless suitors. Aren't you afraid that we will be killed by the jealous gazes?" Indeed, some people were so jealous that their eyes turned red. The 4 beauties around Su Yen were all outstanding women. This made them feel very unbalanced. Wasn't it just entering the first mountain? What was so great about it? The Saintess Taishang rolled her eyes at Su Yen. Old friends meeting here, Bamboo Moon and the others were very happy. They wanted to find a place to talk about their experiences over the years. "You are Su Yen?" At this time, an old man with a strange expression walked over and sized him up. Without waiting for him to speak, he threw him a token and left in a hurry. It was as if he was avoiding a god of plague. The purple gold token was densely covered with ancient patterns. The words "temporary residence" were inscribed on it. The people around were dumbfounded. What was going on? The Saintess Taishang's face fell. How was it temporary residence? Su Yen dominated the first mountain. He should be given the strongest seed token. Haha, I knew it. The Immortals' Cave can't nurture a lower realm expert. Su Yen only has the authority to stay in the Immortals' Cave temporarily. He can't enjoy the treatment of the strongest seed. Someone burst into laughter and said from afar, "I say, you're not from the immortal world. There's really no need for you to stay in the Immortals' Cave. I think you should go back to where you came from." Su Yan's eyes flashed coldly. He said indifferently, "Wait until you understand the situation before you mock me here. The situation is not set in stone." The person who spoke snorted coldly. He was not afraid of Su Yen at all. Su Yen didn't even go when the Immortals' Cave invited him back then. Don't you know? Baokai was furious. It was the same as Su Yan. They were both temporary residents. The person who spoke was suddenly speechless. He couldn't believe it. Was Su Yan willing to refuse the strongest seed status? He should know what it meant to be the strongest seed in the Immortal's Cave. It was equivalent to reaching the sky in a single step. Who do you think you are? How can the Immortal's Cave refuse? All of a sudden, the scene between heaven and earth changed drastically. It was as if a big yellow bell was rumbling. The pressure made the hearts of the people tremble. This was an extremely shocking power of the great path flowing, bombarding the order of heaven and earth. Some people thought that a peerless emperor had arrived. The aura of the great path spread and covered the heaven and earth. A purple-haired man with a cold expression walked over step by step. With every step he took, a golden lotus of the great path bloomed in the void. The moment it swayed, the firmament vaguely seemed to be torn apart. It's the Tiandao King. The rumors are true. The Tiandao King's Dao technique is equivalent to that of an emperor. The hearts of the people trembled. No wonder his Dao technique was so extraordinary. This was the peerless genius of the Immortal's Cave. He had once won the great war of the immortals and demons. His divine power was naturally peerless. Legend had it that Daesung's Dao technique could suppress the Emperor's Dao technique. It had to be said that this person was powerful and peerless. The aura he emitted made the atmosphere here extremely oppressive. One had to know that this time, the Tiandao King was selected as one of the top 10 participants. What does what I do have to do with you? Su Yan replied. As expected of a powerhouse who ascended the first mountain. You have guts. The Tiandao King strolled through the void and arrived at this area. His long purple hair draped over his shoulders. His expression was cold. His calm voice contained a terrifying power that filled every inch of the void. It was like bolts of lightning that struck people's hearts. Many people found it difficult to bear and were paralyzed on the ground. The pressure of the great path was too shocking. It could easily suppress the environment and had an invincible demeanor. You can give it a try. Su Yan was unaffected. His body was tall and straight, and his black robes fluttered. However, the faintly discernible ferocious aura in his body made the area tremble even more violently. There was a faint feeling that a huge explosion was about to happen. Many people were speechless. Was a battle about to begin? Some people felt that Su Yan's edge was too bright and that he should be suppressed. The Tiandao King was an invincible figure among his peers. His Dao technique was profound and unfathomable. He could suppress those with powerful physical bodies. Senior brother. The heavenly saintess spoke bitterly. The Tiandao King was the number 1 immortal and her senior brother. However, Su Yan was her good friend. She really didn't want any conflict between the two. Moreover, the Tiandao King really had invincible combat strength. He had an innate Dao physique and boundless magical power. He was the most dazzling and glorious war god in the Immortal's Cave. Su Yan, the Immortal's Cave is the most glorious and glorious place in the immortal world. Don't think that you are invincible just because you ascended the first mountain. You can walk the path of an immortal king. The Tiandao King spoke, his aura faintly restrained. You are really strange. How can I walk my path? Do I need you to guide me? Su Yan replied indifferently. Su Yan. The heavenly saintess expression became even more bitter. She was stuck in the middle and was in a difficult position. Su Yan frowned. He didn't want to put the heavenly saintess in a difficult position. He also didn't expect the Tiandao King to be her senior brother. It seemed that the orthodoxy that the heavenly saintess joined was no small matter. You have guts. The Tiandao King laughed mockingly. He waved at the heavenly saintess and said, Junior sister, come with me. The heavenly saintess' face was a little pale. This made it difficult for him. She struggled in her heart for a while. She looked at Su Yan and the others and smiled bitterly. She could only choose to leave. After all, she had joined the immortal Taoism. Moreover, the immortal world was powerful and the imperial city was glorious. Who knew what would happen in the future? Su Yen had too many great enemies. If things went wrong, the sovereign sect might be implicated in the future. Bamboo Moon sighed faintly in her heart. She wouldn't ask the heavenly saintess to stay. She also had her own difficulties. Baokai was a little annoyed. She was leaving just like that? No matter what, they had gone through hardships together. In the immortal world, they could be said to be from the same hometown. There was an indescribable feeling in her heart. However, she didn't have a deep relationship with the heavenly saintess. The surroundings roared with laughter. The heavenly saintess, who was extremely enthusiastic just now, was now leaving with the Tiandao king. Junior sister, stay away from them in the future. The road ahead is still very long. You can only be strong for a while, but it doesn't mean that you can continue to be strong in the future. The Tiandao king reminded her. Su Yen had offended the Thunder Immortal Elder. If the heavenly saintess was too close to Su Yen and the others, it would definitely hinder her future. I know what I'm doing. The heavenly saintess returned to normal. These days, the Tiandao king had been taking care of her. In fact, she knew that the Tiandao king loved her. Noticing that Su Yen and the others were silent, Mu Xian was like a happy fruit. Her big eyes were bright. She laughed and said, Su Yen Baokai, you have all obtained a lot of points. You can exchange them for a lot of treasures. Baokai suddenly became alert and almost forgot the most important thing. Baokai had 300,000 points. Similarly, Su Yen had more. The Immortal Cave had 2 great treasure vaults. Su Yen and Baokai were qualified to exchange in the inner treasure vault. They had to go to the core area of the Immortal Cave. You guys go first. We will go and choose a cave abode. Bamboo Moon and Zixia both left. They could not enter the core area. They also cherished their precious time. The outer area of the Immortal Cave had many top-notch secret abodes. They could speed up their growth for a short period of time. Su Yen is gone. What do we do? Someone frowned. An expert who invited the Tiangang king said, he can't escape. The Tiangang king should be here soon. It's a pity that the Tiandao king didn't make a move just now. Otherwise, he would have been taught a lesson. Who is the Tiandao king? Targeting Su Yen is like bullying the weak. Someone shook his head. The Tiandao king belonged to the peak of the Immortal Cave. If he won, it wouldn't be glorious. After all, the Tiandao king had been in the Immortal Cave for too long. Several experts in the core area gathered together to discuss. Their expressions were cold. Some people were jealous. Su Yen had obtained a lot of points and was definitely going to exchange them for various treasures. Mu Xian had been to the Immortal Cave before. She was familiar with the core area. After passing through vast rivers and mountains, she once again walked into the sky and appeared in the resplendent starfield. Emperor's aura. Su Yen was shocked. In this resplendent starfield, above the 9 heavens, Su Yen caught the fluctuations of an emperor. Soon, Su Yen saw an ancient life star floating in the starfield's core. This ancient life star couldn't be considered too big, but it contained the supreme aura of an emperor. Could this be the place where an emperor proved his Tao?